Chapter 44:10. No one had expected that Kang Shinmu would actually use demonic energy. Wasn't this a technique that only void demons could use? This situation left everyone dumbfounded. What the hell was going on? In the field, countless demonic claws erupted from Kang Shinmu's body, carrying Kang Shinmu to attack the middle-rank demon's soul at an extremely fast speed. Although Kang Shinmu's speed was decent, it was absolutely impossible for him to reach such an extreme level. He actually arrived in front of Xiao Yuhua and the two girls in an instant. The two girls couldn't block the attack of the middle-rank demon's soul at all. If Kang Shinmu didn't help, they could only rely on their dragon movement technique to barely dodge. At most, they could avoid being hit in the vital parts, but they would at least be seriously injured. But at this moment, Kang Shinmu swept over with demonic energy that filled the sky. The surging demonic energy was like a pitch-black sea of death, frantically forming a demonic claw that swept toward the middle-rank demon's soul. This technique was exactly the same as the one released by the middle-rank demon's soul. This scene left the middle-rank demon's soul dumbfounded. In just an instant, the middle-rank demon's soul was engulfed by its own power and swallowed. Its entire pitch-black, six-limbed body that was hundreds of feet long was submerged in the sea of demonic energy. For this middle-rank demon's soul, it naturally couldn't resist an attack that came from its own body because its offensive ability was much stronger than its defensive ability. At this moment, Kang Shinmu only swallowed the power of the opponent's two moves and then returned all the power back to it. This was completely unexpected for the middle-rank demon's soul. However, the reaction and speed of the middle-rank demon's soul were very fast. When Kang Shinmu's demonic energy erupted and surged around its body, it had already reacted and wanted to dodge nearby at an extremely fast speed. Unfortunately, from the direction it dodged, the joint ice and fire attack of Xiao Yuhua and the girl in white swept over. The incomparably violent power completely fused together, forming an ice and fire storm. Most of the area around the middle-rank demon's spirit was erupting with demonic energy. The direction it wanted to dodge to was also the direction of the two women's attacks, so it finally couldn't avoid it. In the next moment, half of the demonic spirit's body was enveloped by demonic energy, and it was shattered by the demonic energy. The other half of his body was completely blasted apart by the combined attacks of the two women, and it transformed into a pile of pitch-black ash that dispersed into the surroundings before transforming into powder that covered the sky and descended to the ground. This fourth-level reincarnation tribulation realm middle-rank devil spirit died in the hands of Kang Shinmu and the others just like that. This scene happened too quickly. No one expected the battle to have such a twist. In the blink of an eye, everyone was still lamenting the tyrannical strength of this middle-rank demon spirit. This was a genius demon spirit that could fight above its rank. Everyone believed that Kang Shinmu was absolutely no match for it. But in the blink of an eye, Kang Shinmu had actually killed the intermediate demon spirit in an instant, and he had even unleashed the same demonic aura as the void demon. What kind of technique is this? Everyone was stunned on the spot. Kang Shinmu killed a fourth-level reincarnation tribulation realm middle-rank devil spirit. Although the three of them worked together to kill it, there was no doubt that the leader of this battle had always been Kang Shinmu. Whether it was Kang Shinmu using a strange method to resist the attack of the intermediate demon spirit or Kang Shinmu's burst of demonic energy to assist in killing the intermediate demon spirit, Kang Shinmu's contributions could not go unnoticed. In contrast, the two girls, Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, were somewhat inconspicuous. At most, they played the role of supporting attacks. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that the majority of the killing of this intermediate demon spirit belonged to Kang Shinmu. Wasn't this kid too heaven-defying? How old was he? He was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. He actually had such strength. At this time, many students of Donghuang Yangwu College felt a little sad. Why did such a peerless genius betray Donghuang Yangwu College just like that? Otherwise, Donghuang Yangwu College would be the one enjoying the limelight now. In the eyes of the crowd, many students of Emperor Shi's Dragon and Martial Academy were cheering. This was the glory of Emperor Shi's Dragon and Martial Academy. When Kang Shinmu led a team to kill this intermediate demon spirit, it meant that Kang Shinmu's team was the strongest student in the Yuheng district. Among the 4 great academies, among all the students in the Yuheng district, Kang Shinmu was the strongest. Seeing so many students of Emperor Shi's Dragon and Martial Academy cheering, the faces of some people instantly turned gloomy. The most obvious one was Chu Qingyun. Chu Qingyun's face turned ashen. When he heard the cheers of the people around him, he coldly snorted. Kang Shinmu, why don't you explain how you can display the moves of the void demonic creatures? That move just now clearly belongs to the void demonic creatures. Could it be that you have some sort of relationship with these void demonic creatures? These words were very serious. Because there was no doubt that the Dragon Martial Continent was in a state of absolute hostility with these void demonic creatures. As long as they saw each other, they would kill each other. There wasn't even the slightest bit of communication between them. Under such circumstances, Kang Shinmu had actually displayed demonic qi. This would undoubtedly arouse suspicion. If it was really as Chu Qingyun said, that Kang Shinmu had some sort of relationship with the void demonic creatures, then Kang Shinmu would be in big trouble. Unfortunately, when he heard Chu Qingyun's words, Kang Shinmu only glanced at him indifferently. Many people in the surroundings also chuckled. This Chu Qingyun lost to Kang Shinmu, so he can't accept it. He can't accept it and wants to slander him, right? Although the method of erupting demonic qi is a little strange, it was clearly Kang Shinmu's own method just now. That's right. Absorbing demonic qi and erupting demonic qi. I believe most people here can see this point. The power that killed the middle-rank devil spirit came from the middle-rank devil spirit itself. Which of the dragon martial artists present or the dragon emperor teacher was not a veteran of hundreds of battles? They had seen all kinds of talents and all kinds of strange combat methods. As for Kang Shinmu's current combat method, even if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they had heard of it before. Some dragon warriors had the innate ability to absorb the enemy's power for their own use. There were precedents for this in the Dragon Martial Continent, and even in the 4 great Dragon Martial Academies, there were some genius students who possessed such an ability. Under such circumstances, Chu Qingyun actually suspected Kang Shinmu and even said that Kang Shinmu had colluded with the demonic creatures. This was undoubtedly laughable. It made people wonder if Chu Qingyun had lost his mind because he had lost the great desolate demon sweeping sword. Chapter 44:11. Why aren't you replying? Chu Qingyun's face was ashen as he questioned Kang Shinmu from afar. Kang Shinmu glanced at him once more and lightly said, "The demonic qi technique I used was the middle-level demon soul's own move. Can't you see this? I originally thought that since your strength has increased, your knowledge would also be able to keep up. I didn't expect you to be so ignorant." These words were undoubtedly a great loss of face for that Chu Qingyun. If you say it is the middle-level demon soul's move, then it is the middle-level demon soul's move? Chu Qingyun coldly sneered, "Can you take out evidence?" "Evidence? What evidence do you want?" Kang Shinmu also coldly sneered. This Chu Qingyun was truly a troublemaker. His devour ability wasn't only able to absorb the opponent's move. It also had many other important abilities. These were all hidden and not known by outsiders. In the past, in the eyes of others, the impression he had was that he cultivated a dragon-type martial skill and then found an opportunity to counterattack while being beaten. But now, Kang Shinmu gave people a new impression. That was that he could devour and copy the opponent's strength and moves. This kind of method wasn't considered too big of a deal among dragon-type martial artists. Didn't you see that the Dragon Emperor was only slightly surprised and didn't have any doubts? Only this Chu Qingyun was a troublemaker, pestering him endlessly. You said that you can use the middle-level demon soul's move, then, you should also be able to use the move I used in actual combat, right? Chu Qingyun coldly sneered and suggested, "How about this? You and I will go up on the stage and compete. I will only use one move. If you can use my dragon-type martial skill, then you have nothing to do with the Void Demon. But if you can't use my dragon-type martial skill, then, shouldn't you give me an explanation? All right. Kang Shinmu glanced at him and immediately agreed. Chu Qingyun was only at the peak of the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Even if he cultivated in some powerful dragon martial techniques, he was still only at the level of a student in Yuheng District. To Kang Shinmu, no matter what Chu Qingyun used, he could easily devour and counterattack with the power of the Dragon's Car Blood Pendant. Thus, Chu Qingyun's suggestion was purely to humiliate himself. However, I promise to take one of your attacks. However, shouldn't you fulfill your promise and hand the Great Desolation Devil Vanquishing Sword to me first? Kang Shinmu said lightly. Hearing Kang Shinmu's words, Chu Qingyun was a bit embarrassed. But, he still braced himself and said, you can say that after you prove that you have nothing to do with the Void Demons. I, the dignified Chu Qingyun, would go back on my word? If he wanted to go back on his word and didn't hand over the Great Desolation Devil Vanquishing Sword in front of everyone, he would be thoroughly discredited. In the future, the students of the 4 great academies wouldn't look up to him. It was the same even for the students of Donghuang Yangwu College. Even if Chu Qingyun could reach the level of the Super Dragon Emperor in the future, people still wouldn't have a good impression of him in their hearts. After all, this kind of behavior was the most disgusting. Moreover, even if Chu Qingyun really didn't want to hand over the Great Desolation Devil Vanquishing Sword, Kang Shinmu wasn't worried at all. Because there were mentors from the Emperor Shi Academy present. If Chu Qingyun went back on his word, how could the Dragon Emperor not care? Even if he had to snatch the Great Desolation Devil Vanquishing Sword, he would snatch it. After all, this was what Kang Shinmu deserved after risking his life. Do as you wish. In any case, this Great Desolation Devil Vanquishing Sword doesn't belong to you anymore. Kang Shinmu didn't care. In any case, this thing already belonged to him. It was only a matter of time, so he wasn't in a hurry. Therefore, he retreated from the protective barrier. Today's challenge will end here. A middle-level devil spirit at the 4th stage of the reincarnation tribulation realm is already considered a limit for me. After some time, I will challenge stronger opponents. Okay. The beautiful red-dressed mentor from the Emperor Shi Academy welcomed Kang Shinmu outside the protective barrier. She had a smile on her face and was clearly in a good mood. After all, Kang Shinmu's performance this time was too shocking. It was even more shocking than she had imagined. She thought that the Emperor Shi Academy was really lucky to have such a student this time. That Donghuang Yangwu College's Hua Xiaofeng was probably regretting it to death, right? Such a talented student was actually forced into Emperor Shi's Dragon Force Academy. What a joke. Are you confident about the bet with Chu Qingyun later? The beautiful mentor asked softly. Yes. Kang Shinmu nodded. He wasn't just simply confident. He was absolutely certain that he would win. He was even more confident than the Great Desolation Devil Vanquishing Sword that he would win. After all, this was just one move. Challenging a middle-level devil spirit still depended on one's luck. If the Void Demon was a defensive type, Kang Shinmu and the 2 ladies might not be able to kill it even if they worked together. Therefore, Kang Shinmu was considered lucky to have encountered one with extremely strong attack. Of course, in the entire training ground, the proportion of offensive Void Demons was extremely high. For Kang Shinmu, as long as his luck wasn't too bad, he wouldn't encounter any defensive Void Demons. Kang Shinmu left the protective barrier with the 2 ladies. Then, he flew straight to the void in front of Chu Qingyun and the others. He stared at Chu Qingyun and said, "Please." Chu Qingyun sneered, "Watch out." Chu Qingyun instantly transformed into a dragon. Following that, a tornado condensed in the surrounding void. It actually transformed into void wind blades that attacked Kang Shinmu's black dragon body. This is a high-grade source dragon martial skill. Kang Shinmu's expression changed slightly as he narrowed his eyes. Chu Qingyun's high-grade source dragon martial skill was clearly provided by Zhou Xiaofeng. After all, this sort of cultivation resource was nothing to a powerhouse. It was much more convenient than providing heavenly materials, cultivation resources, and so on. Moreover, this was the main factor that allowed Zhou Xiaofeng to increase his strength. High-grade source dragon martial skill, Void Storm Saber Array. Countless wind blades condensed and erupted from the void. Following that, they surrounded Kang Xinmu and swept towards him. If it was an ordinary 6th-stage Nirvana Tribulation Realm martial artist, they definitely wouldn't be able to resist this high-grade source dragon martial skill. If they couldn't escape, only death would await them. This was because this Void Storm Saber Array trapped the opponent in a void and used countless Storm Saber lights to kill them. Within the Void Storm Saber Array, the opponent's movements were restricted. No matter what movement they made, they would become incomparably slow. This was the strength of the Void Storm Saber Array. It was a killing move with a strong control effect. Let me see how you can replicate my dragon martial skill. Chu Qingyun sneered. Chapter 44:12. In the arena, everyone watched this scene with curiosity. Compared to the scene of Kang Xinmu killing the void demonic creature, no one thought that there would be any suspense in the battle between Kang Xinmu and Chu Qingyun. If they really fought, Kang Xinmu most likely wouldn't lose to Chu Qingyun. It was just that, could Kang Xinmu really absorb all of Chu Qingyun's high-grade source dragon martial skills and use them again? The dragon martial artists in the arena all stared at the black dragon that Kang Xinmu had transformed into. And at this moment, on Kang Xinmu's body, a blood-red, pitch-black devouring power suddenly erupted. This devouring power completely enveloped Kang Xinmu's body. The saber lights of the Void Storm Saber Array that were attacking him were completely swallowed up. To Kang Xinmu, this Chu Qingyun was simply too weak. Kang Xinmu could have easily killed Chu Qingyun. Now that he used his devouring power to devour his opponent's dragon martial skills, it was simply too easy. Kang Xinmu's divine dragon body didn't feel any burden at all. It wasn't like just now. When he devoured the attack of the 4th-level devil spirit, he felt as if his body was about to be torn apart. This kind of feeling meant that the opponent's attack had nearly reached the highest level of power he could devour. If the opponent's attack was any stronger, Kang Xinmu might fall into a coma if he completely devoured it. This was a situation that Kang Xinmu absolutely didn't want to happen. At this moment, Kang Xinmu didn't feel any pressure at all when dealing with Chu Qingyun. All of the saber lights of the Void Storm Saber Array were quickly devoured into Kang Xinmu's body. It was as if all of the saber lights had been absorbed by Kang Xinmu. The black dragon that Kang Xinmu had transformed into was like a black hole that swallowed everything, completely devouring Chu Qingyun's attack. What? Chu Qingyun felt that something was wrong. Void Storm Saber Formation. Right at this moment, Kang Xinmu's cold laughter came from the center of the devouring power that was wrapped in blood red. Following that, an illusory storm of saber light erupted from the void beside Chu Qingyun. This boundless saber light was exactly the same as the one that had erupted around Kang Xinmu. Impossible. Chu Qingyun had an inexplicable look on his face. He knew that someone would have such a technique, but what he had used was a high-grade origin source dragon martial technique. Moreover, he had once heard some rumors that some people could devour any attack from their opponents to counterattack. However, this kind of ability had a very big limit. Generally speaking, they could only devour opponents whose cultivation level was not higher than their own. Now, Kang Xinmu had really devoured his Void Storm Saber Formation. Moreover, just now, Kang Xinmu had also devoured the attack of a 4th-tier Rebirth Tribulation Realm void demonic creature. This was too shocking, wasn't it? One had to know that before Kang Xinmu, there had been other similar devouring powers. However, without exception, all of them had their own flaws. Chu Qingyun had seen it in the ancient records. Either the devouring power couldn't be too strong, or the number of devouring times couldn't be too frequent. At the very least, it couldn't be like Kang Xinmu, who had devoured several times in a row. In the midst of his shock, Chu Qingyun gritted his teeth. A dragon-scaled saber filled with corrosive aura flew out from the back of his divine dragon body. As soon as the corrosive dragon-scale saber appeared, it brought with it an incomparably dense aura. In an instant, it brought up a saber-light barrier and swept across the surroundings, shattering the Nihility Storm saber formation that was sweeping over. This is undoubtedly a talent for counterattacking. Immediately, a Dragon Emperor teacher from the South Emperor Dragon Martial Academy said lightly, as if he had seen through everything. This Kang Shinmu's talent for counterattacking is quite strong. Although Chu Qingyun's Void Storm Saber formation is a high-grade Source Dragon martial skill, he has only cultivated it to the Earth grade. It seems like he hasn't learned it for too long. The reason why I can be sure that Kang Shinmu has a talent for counterattacking is that the Void Storm Saber formation he used to counterattack is also at the Earth grade. Whether it is the aura, strength, or intensity, it is exactly the same as what Chu Qingyun used. Therefore, this also eliminates the possibility that Kang Shinmu has cultivated the Void Storm Saber formation before. It's just that his talent for counterattacking is a little too domineering. He can even devour the power of a middle-level devil spirit that is a major realm above him. This is really unexpected. I'm afraid that this is the strongest talent for counterattacking that has ever appeared in the history of our dragon martial arts. As the Dragon Emperor teacher from the South Emperor Dragon Martial Academy said this, everyone in the surroundings was convinced. All of them sighed with emotion. This Kang Shinmu was really too strong. On the other hand, some dragon martial arts students who were familiar with Kang Shinmu, such as Qin Fengyu and Lu Hua from the Donghuang Yangwu College, were dumbfounded. They had seen Kang Shinmu fight before, and they had even fought alongside Kang Shinmu many times. They never knew that Kang Shinmu had a talent for counterattacking. Originally, Kang Shinmu relied on his tyrannical divine dragon body and cultivated the void dragon sky raising break. He had never had such a talent for counterattacking. Could it be that this talent for counterattacking was Kang Shinmu's strongest trump card, and he had never used it before? If that was the case, why did he reveal it in public like this? They were somewhat puzzled. But no matter what, with the words of the Dragon Emperor teacher, no one doubted that Kang Shinmu had anything to do with the void demonic creatures. After all, this matter was nonsense and the possibility of it being true was extremely low. No one doubted it in the first place, and no one doubted it now. On the contrary, Chu Qingyun had become the laughing stock of the crowd. This guy was too stupid. He had forced his face to be hit by Kang Shinmu. Wasn't his face swollen now? Fortunately, he had only cultivated the Void Storm Saber formation to the Earth grade. Otherwise, Chu Qingyun might not have been able to withstand it. At that time, if Chu Qingyun was injured by his own attack, or even seriously injured, it would be fun. Even so, it was already very embarrassing for him. Chu Qingyun dispelled his divine dragon form. His face was extremely gloomy, and he turned to leave. Don't forget your great desolate demon sword. Kang Shinmu reminded him. Humph. Kang Shinmu, just you wait and see. Chu Qingyun was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Without looking back, he threw out the heaven-grade dragon weapon, the great desolate demon sword, and flew towards Kang Shinmu. In the direction. Kang Shinmu also dispelled his divine dragon form and held the great desolate demon sword in his hand. Suddenly, a wave of righteousness was transmitted from the great desolate demon sword, and Kang Shinmu felt warm all over. This is the great desolate demon sword. Righteousness is boundless, and the demons sweeping invincible. Chapter 44:13. The great desolate demon rinsing sword was in Kang Shinmu's hands. This heaven-grade dragon weapon could not unleash its full power in Chu Qingyun's hands, but Kang Shinmu might not be able to unleash its full power either. No matter what, he would have to try it out when he got back. Moreover, this was not the only harvest this time. Kang Shinmu led Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress to kill a 4th-tier reincarnation state intermediate devil spirit. This was a pretty good result. It was ranked first among the students in the Yuheng district. If this result persisted for a month, when the mission ended, Kang Xinmu and the other two would each get experience points equivalent to several years of what they usually got. Kang Xinmu could exchange for more than half of the high-grade origin source dragon martial skill. If I want to exchange for a whole high-grade origin source dragon martial skill, I need to work harder and get better results in the next mission. A 5th-tier reincarnation state intermediate devil spirit and a 6th-tier reincarnation state intermediate devil spirit. The high-grade origin dragon martial skill is the strongest dragon martial skill that the Dragon Martial Academy can impart to the students. The amount of experience points needed to exchange for it is practically astronomical. 1 month's worth of experience points is enough to exchange for one. You can imagine how generous the rewards for this mission are. Even in the Beast Abyss, no matter how lucky one is, it's impossible to get so many experience points in a month. Kang Xinmu knew. This was probably because of the invasion of the void monsters, and the 4 academies deliberately gave the students of the Dragon Martial Academy a form of stimulation and help. After all, the students of the Dragon Martial Academy needed enough cultivation resources to improve. For example, Chu Qingyun's strength could only be considered average, barely reaching the standards of the Yuheng district students. But after obtaining enough cultivation resources, Chu Qingyun's strength skyrocketed, almost touching the threshold of the Migres district. This was the change. However, according to the scale of the experience points reward, the existing cultivation resources of the 4 academies were not enough for the students to exchange for. There should be a large number of cultivation resources that will be provided in the future. These cultivation resources can't be from the Dragon Martial Continent. They were transported from outside the Dragon Martial Continent by the divine dragons. Kang Xinmu pondered. He temporarily put away the great wilderness demon sweeping sword. Following that, the beautiful teacher in the red dress from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy came forward with a face full of smiles. She pursed her lips and smiled at Kang Xinmu, saying, "Kang Xinmu, your strength is not bad. I hope you can continue to work hard. I will personally provide experience points to the 3 of you. Strive to defeat stronger opponents and earn more experience points before the end of this training." "Thank you, Senior." Kang Xinmu nodded and bowed respectfully. Instructor Dragon Emperor said that it was a personal reward of experience points, but in reality, it was definitely given by Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. However, even if Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy were to give them, the amount would not be too much. After all, many cultivation resources were limited. If they gave too many experience points to Kang Xinmu, what would happen if Kang Xinmu used up all the cultivation resources? Of course, these experience points were not little. For Kang Xinmu, it was still very useful for him to improve. Then we will return to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy first. Kang Xinmu bid farewell to Instructor Dragon Emperor. There was no need for him to stay here and watch others challenge the void demons. After all, that would not be of much help to him. If he returned now, he could still improve his strength greatly in the following period of time. The key was to try to use the power of the Great Wilderness Demon Sweeping Sword. Once he could use the Great Wilderness Demon Sweeping Sword, Kang Xinmu's combat strength would improve greatly. He could use the Dragon Mark Blood Pendant, which was also a heavenly dragon weapon. The Dragon Mark Blood Pendant would improve Kang Xinmu's combat strength by a lot. At the training ground, the Dragon Martial Artist students from the 4 academies watched as Kang Xinmu and the other 2 left. They looked at them with respect. Although they were only students from the Yuheng district, from the combat strength they had shown, it would not be too far for them to step into the Migres district. If the rumor of the expansion of the training area was true, then they might directly go to the Migres district, or even the Fekta district to train. That would allow them to improve even faster. Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. At the Experience Points Exchange Office, Kang Xinmu, Xiao Yuhua, and the girl in the white dress had all received the private reward from the beautiful instructor. The experience points were actually equivalent to the experience points that the Yuheng district students could get for half a year outside. This was quite good. After all, it was a free gift. Unfortunately, for Kang Xinmu, these experience points were of no use at all. He could exchange for treasures of heaven and earth to break through to the next level. But now, if he wanted to break through to the 7th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, he did not have the confidence to condense the Nirvana power. There was no need to be too anxious. And he had already cultivated the body refining dragon martial technique, the chaotic dragon body, to the peak of the heaven tier. There was no way to improve it further. Looks like I can only try and see if I can cooperate well with the great desolate demon sword. Kang Xinmu was somewhat helpless. Of course, he was not at a loss. In any case, he did not use his full strength against the 4th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm. Even if it was the attack of the 6th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm, he could directly resist it and devour the opponent's power for his own use. Now, he was afraid of encountering the defensive type of the middle-rank demon spirit. That would be really troublesome. After all, his own attack ability was not strong, and the 6th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm had extremely strong defense. At that time, if Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress were unable to break through the opponent's defense, the situation would be in a stalemate. Within a month, students only had 3 chances to challenge, so Kang Xinmu and the others only had 2 chances. It was impossible for them to admit defeat when encountering the defensive type of the middle-rank demon spirit. If the last one was still the defensive type of the middle-rank demon spirit, the situation would not be good. This time, the challenge to the 4th level of the middle-rank demon spirit would be the first to go down. This was also arranged in advance. It was too shocking to challenge all of them at once. Therefore, Kang Xinmu was more cautious. This time, he came back to improve first, which could also increase the combat strength of their 3-man team by a level. Most importantly, with the experience points that were awarded now, Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress could obtain a great improvement. Among them, the girl in the white dress was very likely to break through to the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm. Once she succeeded, her combat strength would more than double compared to now. Chapter 44:14. Do you have enough experience points to use? Kang Xinmu looked at the 2 girls and took the initiative to ask, I don't have any use for the experience points I rewarded this time. If you need them, I can lend them to you for the time being. You won't ask me to repay twice, right? Xiao Yuhua covered her mouth and chuckled. Of course not. Jiang Shenwu laughed heartily. It's just that I would like to exchange for a high-grade origin dragon martial skill a month later when I'm calculating my rewards. If I'm lacking some at that time, I hope the 2 of you can lend me some, no problem. The girl in white glanced at Kang Xinmu. If you lend me these experience points now, I can try to break through to the reincarnation realm. Without your experience points, I wouldn't have much confidence, but with yours, I can definitely break through. Hearing the girl in white's words, Xiao Yuhua couldn't help but shake her head. She smiled and said, then I'll give them to you. I originally wanted to borrow some, but your breakthrough is more important than mine, so there's no need for me to snatch them from you. Anyway, no matter who became stronger, it was all the same as long as they could kill a 6th-level reincarnation realm middle-rank devil spirit. That was the upper limit of the rewards for Yuheng District students. Even if they could kill stronger void monsters, there wouldn't be any more rewards. Therefore, their goal was the 6th-level reincarnation realm middle-rank devil spirit. In contrast, if the girl in white could advance to the reincarnation realm, it would be of greater help to them, so Xiao Yuhua took the initiative to give in. Thank you. The girl in white pursed her lips and smiled at Xiao Yuhua. She didn't stand on ceremony at all and directly borrowed the experience points that Kang Xinmu obtained this time. Soon, when the girl in white received Kang Xinmu's points, her expression changed slightly. What's wrong? Xiao Yuhua was a little curious. The experience points that he obtained this time are twice as much as mine. The girl in white sighed. it seems that the Academy also thinks that Kang Shinmu has more potential than us. In that case, I'll only take half of it. The remaining half can be used by Sister. When Kang Shinmu heard it, he felt a little surprised. He didn't expect that he would get a bigger reward than her. Kang Shinmu narrowed his eyes. It seemed like the Dragon Martial Academy really did treat every student differently. Of course, this was very normal. After all, the Dragon Martial Academy's cultivation resources were limited. Otherwise, they wouldn't have divided so many different areas for students of different levels to cultivate in. The greater one's potential, the more resources they would receive. Kang Shinmu shook his head and didn't think too much about it. As for Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, they each borrowed half of the experience points that Kang Shinmu had obtained this time and went to prepare for their breakthroughs. Kang Shinmu was not idle either. After the three of them parted, Kang Shinmu went to visit Ran Ran alone. He found out that the little girl was also preparing to make a breakthrough in her cultivation. At the same time, she was also working hard to improve the cultivation of her chaotic dragon body. She was doing both at the same time. Once she succeeded, her battle prowess would definitely be on par with the Mizar district. If she improved a little more, it wouldn't be too difficult for her to reach the Yuheng district. After all, the areas that she was lacking in were rapidly improving. Once she balanced many areas, her battle prowess would have a qualitative change. Unfortunately, Kang Shinmu didn't have the time to let Ran Ran cultivate the chaotic dragon body. It was Liang Xiao who accompanied Ran Ran and constantly attacked Ran Ran, causing her to be heavily injured so that she could improve the cultivation of her chaotic dragon body. This kind of cultivation method made Liang Xiao speechless. This was too terrifying. A body-tempering dragon-type martial technique could only improve faster by constantly being injured. Wasn't this a little too terrifying? At this moment, in Liang Xiao's eyes, dragon martial artists who could cultivate body-tempering dragon-type martial techniques to the heaven level were all devil-like existences. If someone was so cruel to themselves, what else couldn't they do? Kang Shinmu went to take a look at Ran Ran. Seeing that she was fine, he left first. He also had something very important to do. He came to the experience stone tablet and casually accepted a mission to deal with demonic beasts. Then, he left the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy through the Emperor Shi formation. Soon, he came to a dense forest in the nearby Dragon Emperor Kingdom. In this dense forest, it was said that there were some powerful demonic beasts and even some demon kings. They were a great threat to the nearby cities. If the Dragon Emperor powerhouses came, they would definitely be able to deal with them easily. However, these demonic beasts were also very sensitive. Once the Dragon Emperor powerhouses came, they would immediately flee into the nearby Sea of Demons. In the Sea of Demons, there were many Demon Emperor level powerhouses. Even the Dragon Emperor was not a match for them. Therefore, they needed the help of the students of the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy to go into the dense forest and eliminate those Demon King level demonic beasts. This was because those Demon Kings would not flee when they encountered dragon martial artists of the same level. Moreover, the students of the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy all had very strong abilities to challenge those of a higher level. The reason why Kang Shinmu came to this place was naturally to test the power of the Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword. He transformed into a black dragon and directly descended into this dense forest. It was said that there were several demon kings residing in this dense forest. These demon kings were not very strong. There were some who were at the second or third level of the rebirth tribulation realm. Moreover, there were no demon kings who were at the intermediate level of the rebirth tribulation realm. This made Kang Shinmu feel more at ease. Opponents of these levels were not much of a threat to him. His aura as a Dragon King powerhouse quickly spread to the depths of the surrounding dense forest. Some weaker demonic beasts fled into the distance, afraid that they would die in the hands of the powerful dragon martial artists. However, soon, there was an angry roar of a demonic beast coming from the depths of the dense forest. The demonic beast's angry roar seemed to shake the heavens. Accompanied by two white hurricanes, it whizzed through the sky and descended directly in the direction of Kang Shinmu. It was obvious that it was a demon king. Moreover, this demon king had sensed the appearance of Kang Shinmu from afar. This young dragon martial artist at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm actually dared to behave atrociously in this dense forest. This made the demon king want to laugh. Even the most talented dragon martial artist would not be able to cross 7 or 8 levels of cultivation to face an opponent of the same blood essence level. This demon king felt that Kang Shinmu was here to die. Soon, Kang Shinmu discovered that there were 2 more hurricanes in front of him. These 2 hurricanes were actually 2 long whiskers of a demon king. This was a wind-calling bull. The wind-calling bull of the demon king level was definitely not weak. In fact, it was extremely fast. Its talent was to control the power of the wind attribute, and its talent was even higher than that of many wind attribute divine dragon blood essence. Chapter 44:15. The Wind Bull Demon King was covered in a violent whirlwind. In the violent whirlwind, one could barely see its storm-like eyes. Without any words, the Wind Bull launched a powerful attack at Kang Shinmu the moment it saw Kang Shinmu. In the void of the dense forest, a series of violent storms appeared almost instantly. These storms were not the Wind Bull's full strength, but in its opinion, such power was enough to kill Dragon King, who was at the 1st level of the reincarnation realm. In front of it was only a young Dragon King at the 6th level of the Nirvana realm. He was too far away from the reincarnation realm, so there was no need for it to display its full strength. The Wind Bull felt that the storm it displayed was already too much for Kang Shinmu. However, to Kang Shinmu, such power was just like scratching an itch. Even if Kang Shinmu did not move, the Wind Bull would not be able to hurt him at all. An endless violent storm descended. Kang Shinmu, who had transformed into a black divine dragon, had no intention of dodging. With a slight movement of his body, a blood-red sword shadow burst out from the divine dragon's body. This blood-red sword shadow was a heaven-level dragon weapon, the Great Desolation Demon Sword. As soon as the heaven-level dragon weapon appeared, it immediately brought about a whirlwind. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth exploded in an instant. The Great Desolation Demon Sword swept the spiritual energy into countless sword shadows, explosively attacking the surroundings. This power is not bad. Kang Shinmu's eyes suddenly lit up. The Great Desolation Demon Sword was indeed a heaven-level dragon weapon. The higher the level of the dragon weapon, the more power it could exert in the hands of an expert. Originally, Kang Shinmu had some doubts that the Great Desolation Demon Sword would not be willing to cooperate with him. After all, the Great Desolation Demon Sword did not like lads like Chu Qingyun. Chu Qingyun had obtained the Great Desolation Demon Sword for a long time, but he had not been able to exert too much of its power. At this moment, the Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword seemed to have been suppressed for a long time. Countless sword shadows swept out. Accompanied by Kang Shinmu's devouring talent, these sword shadows turned into streaks of black and red sword shadows. They instantly pierced through the violent storm released by the wind collar bull and shattered the storm from the center. A total of 8 violent storms swept towards Kang Shinmu. However, 8 more black and red sword shadows swept towards the 8 storms and shattered them into pieces. Accompanied by these sword shadows, Kang Shinmu's black dragon body whizzed towards the wind collar bull. The Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword is willing to be used by me. Although the devouring inherent skill doesn't seem to be a righteous existence, the Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword doesn't seem to care. As long as it approves of my character, it's fine. Kang Shinmu understood. The Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword was unwilling to cooperate with Chu Qingyun. It was not because Chu Qingyun had mastered some evil power, but because of Chu Qingyun's character. Chu Qingyun's behavior was dark and sinister. It was no wonder that the Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword, a righteous dragon weapon, was unwilling to cooperate with him. Now that it was in Kang Shinmu's hands, the Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword seemed to have sensed Kang Shinmu's difference. At least, it was willing to cooperate with Kang Shinmu and burst out its power to wipe away the depressing experience it had when it was attacked by Chu Qinyan. The Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword Chi combined with Kang Shinmu's devouring power actually had the power to compete with the Wind Collar Bull at the second level of the Reincarnation Tribulation realm. This was the quality of the Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword, and it was also due to the powerful devouring power of Kang Shinmu. The devouring power could even devour the power of the fourth or even the sixth level of the Reincarnation Tribulation realm. Therefore, when combined with the Great Desolate Devil Sword, it would be a piece of cake for Jiang Shenwu to defeat the Call Wind Bull's attack. Furthermore, it would not cause any damage to him. Even if such an attack hit me, I would be fine, but I feel better after repelling the opponent's attack. I can't directly resist all the attacks with my body, can I? Kang Shinmu was in a good mood now. With the Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword, both his offensive and defensive abilities were much stronger. Virtual Dragon, Sky Breaking. 6 blood-red divine dragon shadows burst out. Accompanied by the sword's shadows and the dragon's breath, they shot out from the void and hit the Wind Collar Bull. Never in its wildest dreams did the Gale Bull expect that a mere 6-stage Nirvana Tribulation Realm Dragon King would be able to break through its attack in an instant and even launch a counterattack. The Wind Collar Bull, who was at the first level of the Reincarnation Tribulation realm, roared furiously, and its body erupted with an endless storm power. The storm power shook the void and bombarded the virtual dragon Sky Breaking and the dragon's breath sword shadows. The two forces collided in the air once again. This time, Kang Shinmu was on the offensive side, while the Wind Collar Bull was on the defensive side. Unexpectedly, it was unable to block Kang Shinmu's attack. The black and red dragon's breath light beams were like 6 tyrannical sword lights, which pierced through the storm power that shook the void and shattered it. Immediately after, the void dragon's sky-piercing smash heavily bombarded the Wind Call Bull's body. A terrifying explosive power and penetrating power were released in an instant. In the void, the Wind Collar Bull's blood splattered everywhere. The virtual dragon Sky Breaking and the Great Desolate Demon Sword's combined attack made the Wind Collar Bull unable to block it at all. As a demonic beast, the Wind Collar Bull's body had a very strong defense. It could be said that its skin was rough and its flesh was thick. However, the Great Desolate Demon Sword, as a heaven-level dragon weapon, was too powerful. Most importantly, Kang Shinmu's devouring power was strong. The virtual dragon Sky Breaking that Kang Shinmu executed was executed with the devouring power. His devouring power was at least 10 times stronger than the talent and nirvana force of others in the same realm. In other words, there was a gap of at least 3 realms. In addition, Kang Shinmu had condensed nirvana force twice, which was a gap of more than 5 realms. Therefore, even though Kang Shinmu was only at the 6th level of the nirvana tribulation realm, the dragon martial skill executed with the devouring power was equivalent to the dragon martial skill executed by those in the 2nd level of the reincarnation tribulation realm or above. Now, together with the Great Desolate Demon Sword, it directly shattered the Wind Collar Bull's attack, broke through its tough demonic beast body defense, and hit it heavily on the ground in the dense forest. The violent shock almost spread throughout the entire dense forest. The Great Desolate Demon Sword turned into a blood-red sword shadow and floated above the black dragon that Kang Shinmu had transformed into, releasing a strong power that shook the world. The dragon weapon had the ability to increase the power of the dragon martial artist, and could also add some special effects. This was the function of the dragon weapon. Chapter 44:16. Of course, Kang Shinmu did not have a deep integration with the Great Wilderness Demon Sweeping Sword. He could only exert less than 30% of the power of the Great Wilderness Demon Sweeping Sword. This was much better than Chu Qinyan, who could only exert less than 10% of the Great Wilderness Demon Sweeping Sword's power. At this moment, above Kang Shinmu's black dragon body, the Great Wilderness Demon Sweeping Sword turned into a blood-red sword chi, bursting out with a terrifying aura. The Wind Call Bull fell heavily on the dense forest ground. Its giant body looked like it was about to fall apart. Its entire body was covered with sword marks and blood stains. It looked extremely miserable. With the great wilderness demon sweeping sword, Kang Shinmu could only use one move, Shadow Dragon Sky Raising Break, to injure the Wind Call Bull, who was at the second level of the reincarnation realm. It was obvious that the great wilderness demon sweeping sword's attack power had increased a lot for Kang Shinmu. After all, it was the strongest heaven-level dragon weapon. If I can completely integrate with the great wilderness demon sweeping sword, I can easily kill a third-level reincarnation realm demon king or dragon king with the great wilderness demon sweeping sword. As for the fourth-level reincarnation realm demon king and dragon king, I can also use the great wilderness demon sweeping sword to fight them head-on. Kang Shinmu had always relied on his physical defense in battle. Recently, when he could not devour his opponent's flesh and blood essence, his attack methods became quite poor. In this way, my attack power is no less than that of Xiao Yuhua and Chu Qingyun. Kang Shinmu thought to himself, feeling gratified. This great desolate devil sweeping sword was truly a great gift from Chu Qingyun. With this heaven-level dragon weapon, Kang Shinmu's battle power had improved a lot. Of course, it was mainly because of his nirvana devouring power, which had become very strong after refining it twice. Although he was only at the 6th level of the nirvana realm, it was equivalent to the 8th or even the 9th level of the nirvana realm. With the grade and strength of the devouring power, combined with the great wilderness demon sweeping sword and the heaven-level shadow dragon sky raising break, it was normal for him to kill the Wind Call Bull. This is much more convenient. The corners of Kang Shinmu's mouth curled up. Originally, with his strength, it would have been very difficult for him to kill the Wind Call Bull, even if he did not face any danger. He could only devour the opponent's attack to counterattack. If the opponent was more proficient in defense, then it would be basically impossible for Kang Shinmu to kill the opponent. But it was different now. With the help of the great wilderness devil rinsing sword, Kang Shinmu could kill a demon king expert of this level head-on. Then, the great wilderness demon rinsing sword cooperated with Kang Shinmu once again and burst out the virtual dragon roaring strike. The blood-red dragon's breath beam exploded in the dense forest and directly smashed the wind bull into pieces. The huge body of the wind caller bull collapsed in the dense forest, losing all signs of life. Some of the demonic beasts who were hiding to watch the scene couldn't believe their eyes when they saw this. They all ran away in all directions. Kang Shinmu's next goal was very clear. In this dense forest, there were several other demon kings. They were all at the 2nd or even 3rd level of the reincarnation realm. If Kang Shinmu fought with these demon kings, he would be able to familiarize himself with the aura of the great wilderness devil rinsing sword. He would be more compatible with the great wilderness devil rinsing sword and be able to exert more power. This would allow his devouring nirvana force to be strengthened through the great wilderness devil rinsing sword. It was not an easy task to be compatible with the dragon weapon, or even to fuse with it. Previously, Kang Shinmu had spent a long time fusing with the heavenly sacred halberd. He had experienced many thrilling battles. Now, for the great wilderness devil rinsing sword to fully exert its power, it was not an easy task. On the other hand, the dragon mark blood pendant, a heaven-level dragon weapon, seemed to have a natural compatibility with Kang Shinmu. Kang Shinmu had only obtained it for a short while, but he could already exert most of its power. The power of the dragon mark blood pendant allowed Kang Shinmu's devouring nirvana force to transform into the reincarnation force. He could devour the opponent's power for his own use. In the next half a month's time, Kang Shinmu had been in this dense forest, carefully searching and vigilantly attacking the monster kings. There were quite a number of monster kings in this dense forest. Originally, when the Dragon Emperor country reported to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, they asked the students of the Migres zone to form teams and come over. Otherwise, these monster kings might escape or even kill them. When Kang Shinmu accepted the mission and arrived, the person in charge of this matter from the Dragon Emperor country was in a difficult position. Obviously, the other party felt that Kang Shinmu's cultivation level was too low. If he entered the dense forest, he would be lucky to survive, let alone kill those monster kings of the reincarnation realm. However, in the past half a month, all the monster kings in the dense forest had been wiped out by Kang Shinmu alone. Originally, the mission only required him to kill one of the monster kings. After all, if he were to kill all of them, it would take a lot of time and effort, and he might not succeed. Moreover, if he killed one of them, the other monster kings might escape. However, the one who killed them was Kang Shinmu. Because Kang Shinmu was only at the 6th stage of the Nirvana realm, when the monster kings heard that the Wind Bull had been killed, they did not have any thoughts of escaping. Instead, they planned to capture Kang Shinmu. In the process of capturing them for half a month, Kang Shinmu eliminated all the monster kings one by one. The monster cores of these monster kings could not be exchanged for experience points. Therefore, Kang Shinmu kept them for himself to devour and recover. When Kang Shinmu finally killed the 3 monster kings, the monster kings in this dense forest were finally completely eliminated. When Kang Shinmu fought against the 3 monster kings, he basically relied on the Void Dragon Sky Raising Sword and the Great Desolate Demon Sword. The combination of the two was extremely powerful and could directly injure an opponent at the 3rd stage of the reincarnation realm. In the short period of half a month, because he had been fighting against opponents of similar strength, Kang Shinmu and the Great Desolate Demon's Sword had become quite compatible. In the beginning, he could only exert less than 30% of the power of the Great Desolate Devil Rinsing Sword. Now, he could exert 60% of its power. Of course, it would not be easy to integrate it with the Great Desolate Devil Rinsing Sword. Kang Shinmu was quite satisfied with this result. In this way, his attack power had also become stronger. Together with Xiao Yuhua and the other 2 girls, even if they encountered a defensive-type void demon at the 6th stage of the reincarnation realm, they would not be in a situation where they could not defeat it. With the 3 of them attacking together, the effect would definitely be better than before. As for defense, Kang Shinmu was not afraid of the devil spirits at the 6th stage of the reincarnation realm at all. It's time to go back. Kang Shinmu smiled and planned to return to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. This training mission originally only required him to casually kill a demon king, but he did not expect that he would actually kill all the demon kings in the entire dense forest. Chapter 44:17. Kang Shinmu returned to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. The mission he completed this time did not give him many experience points, but it allowed him to unleash the power of the Great Desolate Demon Rinsing Sword, which increased his attack power by at least 3 times. This was the power of a heaven-level dragon weapon. Now that Kang Shinmu had the Great Desolate Demon Rinsing Sword, he was much more confident in dealing with the void demons. After returning to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy after half a month, Kang Shinmu received 3 pieces of good news. Ran used the experience points awarded by the Academy to directly cultivate the chaotic dragon body to the dragon level. She was only 1 step away from the peak of the heaven level. Moreover, she had also broken through her cultivation realm and reached the 8th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. These 2 improvements had at least doubled her combat strength. Not only had her defense improved, but her overall combat strength had also improved. Now, even if she was alone, she could withstand more than 10 moves from a low-level demon soldier. This was a qualitative change. It was very difficult to cultivate the body-refining dragon-type martial arts, and one would usually suffer a lot. It could be said that these days, Ran had been in pain. Her divine dragon body had been constantly attacked by Liang Xiao, and she was in a state of serious injury almost all the time. If it was not for her amazing willpower, others would not have been able to endure for so long. Kang Shinmu was used to this kind of pain, but for a girl, this kind of pain was obviously not that easy to endure. However, when he thought about how Ran grew up in an assassin organization, it made sense. Although she had lost all her memories of being in the Dark Dragon group, those experiences, and the ability to endure pain were still left behind. Now that she was cultivating the body-refining dragon-type martial arts, she could more easily endure that kind of pain. Of course, the pain was very heavy. Even if Ran Ran could endure it, she could only do it by clenching her teeth. If she relaxed even a little during this period, it was very likely that her chaotic dragon body would not be able to break through to the dragon level. In particular, if she wanted her chaotic dragon body to make a breakthrough in such a short period of time, the pressure she would have to endure would be even greater, and the pain she would have to endure would be even greater. When Liang Xiao saw this, he didn't have the heart to heavily injure her at first. However, under her repeated requests, Liang Xiao had no choice but to explode his innate ability with all his might. The power of the blood explosion spell completely exploded on Ran Ran's body. No one could imagine how much pain Ran Ran had suffered in this short period of half a month. Even the pain that some dragon martial artists had endured in their entire lives was not as much as what Ran Ran had endured in this half a month. This was the only way to cultivate the body-refining dragon martial technique. Without such a tempered body, how could the body of a divine dragon become as tough as a steel fortress? It was the same for Kang Xinmu when he was cultivating. He had suffered all kinds of hardships. There was no shortcut to cultivating the body-refining dragon martial technique. Kang Xinmu and Ran Ran's advantage was that their divine dragon body could recover quickly. Whether it was Kang Xinmu's devouring power or Ran Ran's dark dragon filth technique, they were all methods to quickly recover from their injuries. Although they could recover quickly, the pain they had to endure during cultivation was tens to hundreds of times faster than normal. It was much, much more painful than others. If one could recover quickly, it would be easier to master the body-refining dragon martial technique. However, there were not many dragon martial artists who could endure such pain. When Kang Xinmu returned, Ran Ran had already gone to the demonic beast training grounds with Liang Xiao and the others. This time, they were going there to break the record. As for the other two pieces of good news that Kang Xinmu received, they were related to him. The first was that the white-dressed girl had successfully broken through to the first stage of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm and became a Rebirth Tribulation Realm dragon martial artist. It was rare to see such a young Rebirth Tribulation Realm. However, she had used all the time she had absorbed the Dragon Mark's energy to cultivate. Her Dragon King blood essence was only at the 5th level. She was weaker than all the Rebirth Tribulation Realm dragon martial artists. Of course, this was only for the students of the 4 dragon martial academies. In the outside world, not to mention the Dragon King, even sacred dragons, sky dragons, or even true dragons could cultivate to the Rebirth Tribulation Realm as long as they were old. There were many true dragon martial artists at the Rebirth Tribulation Realm in the Jiang clan. The white-dressed girl had broken through to the first stage of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. Her battle prowess had increased by at least 3 times. Kang Xinmu's current attack power was about the same as the white-dressed girl's in the past. However, the white-dressed girl's attack power now far exceeded Kang Xinmu's. Her attack power alone was comparable to the combined attack of 3 Kang Xinmu's. This was the genius students of the Dragon Martial Academy. The students of the Dragon Martial Academy were geniuses, but the white-dressed girl and Xiao Yuhua were geniuses among geniuses. They were stronger than ordinary students. The white-dressed girl was only at the first stage of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm, but she could easily defeat opponents at the 4th stage of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. Of course, this was only in terms of attack power. If defense, speed, and other factors were considered, she might not be able to defeat the Rebirth Tribulation Realm Dragon King, Demon King, or Demon Spirit. As for Xiao Yuhua, she had cultivated the high-grade source of dragon martial technique to the peak of the heaven rank. This dragon martial technique was called Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens. It was a high-grade source of Dragon Martial Academy's unique legacy. Xiao Yuhua had always been regarded as a genius, but she had never shown her true genius side in front of Kang Xinmu. In fact, Xiao Yuhua was very proficient in all kinds of dragon martial techniques. Moreover, she could only use one type of attack dragon martial technique at the same time. Previously, she had been using Flowers Don't Speak, Rivers Run Red. It was a part of the source of dragon martial technique that she had cultivated before. However, in reality, she had always been practicing the high-grade origin source dragon martial art technique, Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens. This was a powerful dragon martial art technique that she had exchanged for 2 years of experience points. It was considered the signature dragon martial art technique of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. However, she had never cultivated Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens to the peak of the heaven rank. Therefore, she had never used it in front of outsiders. Now, her Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens had finally reached the peak. As a genius, she had cultivated Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens for 2 years to reach the peak of the heaven rank. It was already very impressive. It should be known that many Dragon Emperor instructors had spent 4 to 5 years to cultivate this technique to the peak of the heaven rank. Therefore, Xiao Yuhua could at least become a Dragon Emperor instructor in the future. That would be a strong practitioner above the 5th level of the Dragon Emperor. She could even become a super divine dragon. That was the ultimate goal of the students of the Dragon Martial Academy. It was just that very few people could achieve it. When Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens reached the peak of the heaven rank, Xiao Yuhua would throw away all her previous dragon martial techniques. Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens was not just a simple attack dragon martial technique. Its overall combat power was very strong. Chapter 44:18. Outside the Dragon Martial Continent. Kang Xinmu returned with the 2 girls in the starry sky where many void monsters were gathered. It had been more than half a month since they last came here. There were only 5 days left until the end of this trial. Kang Xinmu was not in a hurry. They were fully prepared anyway, and they still had 2 more chances. 5 days was more than enough for them to defeat the 5th and 6th level devil spirits. When they arrived, many students from the Dragon Martial Academy had their attention focused on them. The void within the protective barrier was where void monsters were imprisoned, so the number of Dragon Martial Academy students here was much higher. However, when Kang Xinmu came this time, he found that there were more Dragon Martial Academy students here than last time. He even saw many familiar faces. For example, Donghuang Yangwu College's Yu Tianshang and Emperor Qin. These 2 were students from the Core Heaven Center district of Donghuang Yangwu College. Their battle prowess was at the peak among the students, and they had basically been fighting void monsters near the void fissure. However, in the last 7 days, these top students still came to this trial ground. As students of the Dragon Martial Academy, they naturally needed experience points to cultivate. Previously, they had killed many void demonic creatures near the void rift and earned experience points without killing them. However, it was life-threatening. If they were not careful, they could die near the void fissure and never return. They earned a lot of experience points, but they could only get them through blood and fire. The rewards of the trial ground were also effective for the Heaven Center District students. They naturally had to come back to earn some experience points in the last few days. Each Dragon Martial Academy had 3 students from the Heaven Center District, so there were 12 of them in total. When Kang Xinmu arrived, the 12 of them were almost all there. Their goal was to hunt down those middle-rank devil generals and even high-rank devil generals. The stronger the opponent they could kill, the more experience points they could obtain. Although this harvest could not compare to the experience points they gained from fighting near the void chasm and hunting void beasts, it was still a considerable amount and could be considered a decent income. They would not let go of such an opportunity to earn extra money. To them, every bit of cultivation resources must be cherished and not wasted. It represented how long it would take for them to break through to a higher level and become the Dragon Emperor's mentor. Apart from Yu Tianshang and Emperor Qin, Kang Xinmu also met the strongest student of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, Feng Ligay. It was a valiant and formidable-looking woman, who seemed to be recuperating off to the side. I heard that Feng Ligay killed a high-rank devil general near the void chasm and suffered some injuries. He is currently recuperating. Kang Xinmu heard someone nearby explain. He nodded. Right now, he, Xiao Yuhua, and the white-dressed young lady were all famous figures in the 4 Dragon Martial Academies, so there were naturally people who wanted to befriend them. Very soon, they arrived at the training ground. The challenge training was about to end, and the deadline was approaching. Hence, there were many more students coming to challenge than before. Basically, there were students challenging at every moment in the training ground. How has your cultivation been for the past half a month? Suddenly, a voice sounded in the ears of Kang Shinmu and the other two. Following that, a beautiful woman wearing a long red dress appeared in front of them. It was the Dragon Emperor's mentor from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, who was in charge of the training. I've improved quite a bit. Thank you, mentor. Kang Shinmu immediately bowed respectfully. Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed young lady did the same. Although they knew that the experience points they obtained were actually given by the academy, it was a fact that the beautiful mentor in front of them had also taken care of them. In the past half a month, have there been any other students from the Yuheng district who challenged and defeated the middle-rank devil spirits? Kang Shinmu asked with a little concern. There have been. One of them is that Chu Qingyun. He broke through to the first level of the Samsara realm a while ago. This is because Donghuang Yangwu College has put in a lot of effort to nurture him. The beautiful Dragon Emperor chuckled and said, perhaps the academy doesn't allow Chu Qingyun to lose to you, who left Donghuang Yangwu College. This mentality was understandable. So how many cultivation resources did Chu Qingyun obtain? It was too terrifying. Breaking through to the first level of the Samsara realm in a short period of time was not something that could be achieved with a little bit of cultivation resources. The white-dressed young lady had been accumulating and preparing for this day. It could be said that she had accumulated a lot of resources, so she just happened to break through to the Samsara realm. But this Chu Qingyun. How long had it been since he broke through? If he wanted to break through to the Samsara realm so quickly, he would need more than just cultivation resources. If he didn't have enough talent and wanted to forcefully break through, he would need at least 10 times more cultivation resources than usual. If 10 times the resources were used on Chu Qingyun, it was understandable that he would be able to improve like this. If he couldn't even do this, then he might as well just die. No matter what, he was still a student of the Yuheng district of the Eastern Imperial Dragon Martial Academy. He definitely had this bit of talent. This Chu Qingyun wasn't that bad. He was just slightly weaker when compared to top talents like Yu Tianchang and Kang Shinmu. Chu Qingyun led a team and killed a 5th-level Samsara realm middle-rank devil spirit. The beautiful teacher continued, but they had already used up their 3 chances. That 5th-level middle-rank devil spirit was lucky enough to encounter a defense-type void demonic creature, so they barely managed to kill it. Other than Chu Qingyun's team, the strongest teams from the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy and the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy have already killed a 4th-level Samsara realm middle-rank devil spirit. Their results are not bad. Of course, I believe that among the 4 academies, your team is the best and strongest. You have to work hard when you return. At the very least, you can't lose to Chu Qingyun's team. How about it? Are you confident? The beautiful teacher narrowed her eyes and asked. Of course I'm confident. No matter what, I can't lose to Chu Qingyun, right? Kang Shinmu's lips curled up. I just got a little familiar with the great desolate demon sweeping sword that he won. If I lose to Chu Qingyun, I will be ashamed of the great desolate demon sweeping sword. So, I won't let that happen. Chapter 44:19. The beautiful teacher was a little surprised by Kang Shinmu's confidence. Of course, she didn't know that Kang Shinmu had long planned to kill the 6th-level Reincarnation Tribulation Realm Intermediate Devil Spirit during the training. Therefore, in the past half a month, it could only be said that he had increased his confidence. It wasn't because he didn't have enough strength previously, but because he didn't want to waste time. Then do your best. The beautiful teacher chuckled, then suddenly lowered her voice and said, based on the current situation, if you can really kill the 5th or even 6th level Reincarnation Tribulation Realm Intermediate Devil Spirit, you may very well have the opportunity to enter the Fecta zone in the next school tournament. Crossing the entire Migres zone from the Yuheng zone to the Fecta zone. This situation had originally never happened in the history of the 4 great dragon martial academies, but it was very likely that such a situation would occur in this year's school tournament. This wasn't just because the students' strength had greatly increased. It was more likely that, as previously mentioned, the number of students in each academy zone would double. Only then would it be possible for Kang Shinmu to directly cross from the Yuheng zone to the Fekta zone. One had to know that Kang Shinmu was very clear about his current strength, which was around the middle of the Migres zone. It would be extremely difficult for him to really go against the Dragon Emperors in the Fekta zone. Only by increasing the quota could he immediately step into the Fekta zone. Once he stepped into the Fekta zone, the speed at which Kang Shinmu devoured and absorbed the Dragon Mark's energy would greatly increase. This would allow him to step into the Dragon Emperor level of inheritance blood essence faster. This training opportunity also gave Kang Shinmu a great advantage. The experience points that other Dragon Martial Academy students obtained in this training definitely couldn't compare to those of Kang Shinmu and the other two. Even if it was the Migres zone students or the Fekta zone students, there were very few who could obtain experience points that were comparable to Kang Shinmu's. Soon, the beautiful tutor finished what she wanted to say and turned to leave. Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress began to discuss in private. They didn't have much confidence in whether they could break through the Migres zone and go straight to the Fekta zone. However, they were still rather excited at the thought of the massive amount of experience points they would be able to obtain after this training. Kang Shinmu planned to use these experiential points to exchange for a superior grade origin dragon martial technique. As for Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, they had their own plans as well. In short, they would be able to improve their strength greatly. After the beautiful mentor left, Kang Shinmu brought the 2 girls to look at the arena. Right now, it was a student from the Fekta zone who was challenging a low-rank Devil General Void Beast. It looked like he was in a perilous situation. In terms of combat strength, he was much stronger than the middle-rank Devil Spirit that Kang Shinmu and the other 2 had faced. They could not be compared at all. Let's take a break first, then we'll go on stage. Kang Shinmu was in a good state now. After saying that to the 2 girls, he closed his eyes and rested. He didn't think too much about the strength of the Void Beast. In any case, he was already very confident that he could deal with the middle-rank Devil Spirit that he wanted to deal with. The 2 girls didn't hesitate and began to rest like him. The place they chose was a corner in the void. However, even if they were in a corner, some Dragon Warrior students would look at them from time to time and point at them. Among them were students from Donghuang Yangwu College. Most of them looked at Kang Shinmu with contempt and disgust. After all, in the eyes of most people, Kang Shinmu had defected of his own accord. Only a few students from Donghuang Yangwu College knew that Kang Shinmu had been forced to leave by Zhuo Xiaofeng. Fortunately, Zhuo Xiaofeng wasn't present now. Otherwise, Kang Shinmu really didn't suspect that Zhuo Xiaofeng would tamper with the training. After leaving Donghuang Yangwu College, Zhuo Xiaofeng won't be able to control me anymore. Even if Zhuo Xiaofeng still wants to hinder me during this training, the seniors from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy won't just stand by and watch. Kang Shinmu now had a sense of security that he didn't have when he was in Donghuang Yangwu College. This allowed him to focus all his attention on improving his strength, and not worry about other things. About 2 hours later, the training field finally quietened down. Just now, 3 students from the Fekta zone had gone up to fight the low-rank Devil General level Void demonic creatures. They seemed to be good friends. They had defeated the 3rd-tier Reincarnation Tribulation Realm low-rank Devil General and lost to the 4th-tier middle-rank Devil General. Such a result was considered good among the students from the Fekta zone. However, the number of experience points they could obtain was only about the same as that of Kang Shinmu and the other 2. It was just that they didn't reach the upper limit of the students from the Fekta zone. In terms of difficulty, if one only wanted to obtain the same amount of experience points, the more advantageous it was for the students in the outermost zone. It was just that there was a limit to the points that students in the outermost zone could obtain. When the 3 students from the Fekta zone finished their challenges, the field was finally empty. At this time, Kang Xinmu decisively stepped forward, planning to follow up on his previous results and continue to challenge the 5th-tier middle-rank devil spirit. When Kang Xinmu took the two girls to the field, the expressions of the surrounding people changed slightly, and they all paid attention to them. I heard that this Kang Xinmu, as a student from the Yuheng zone, led a team to kill a 4th-tier middle-rank devil spirit, and it seemed to be very easy. This time, I want to see what kind of tricks this Kang Xinmu has. The three of them seem to have improved. It shouldn't be a big problem to deal with a 5th-tier middle-rank devil spirit, right? Who knows? Anyway, the strongest students from the Yuheng zone of the 4 academies could only kill a 5th-tier middle-rank devil spirit. They were lucky enough to encounter a defense-type demonic creature, so they had a chance to kill the opponent. The surrounding people were all talking and pointing at Kang Xinmu and the others. Many of these students weren't here last time. They heard about Kang Xinmu's battle situation and the bet with Chu Qingyun. Now that the trial was about to end, many students came to watch the battle. This was because it would affect the situation of the academy tournament in the future. The students who obtained better results in this trial would definitely have a great breakthrough in the next academy tournament, so they needed to pay attention to them. This was related to the vital interests of every student, so it was also useful for them to observe the fighting methods of some powerhouses in advance. Even many students from the Yaoguang zone had the opportunity to directly enter the Kaiyang zone or even the Yuheng zone in the next school competition. Everything depended on their opponents and their own performance in the school competition. Chapter 44-20. Kang Xinmu led the two girls into the arena. This was their second time going up. As students of the Yuheng district, they directly chose a 5th-tier reincarnation realm void monster as their opponent. This scene attracted the attention of many dragon warrior students who were watching the battle. Many students from the Yuheng district, Kaiyang district, and even the Migres district and Tianji district of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy felt a little nervous. After all, Kang Xinmu and the other two were likely to be their opponents in the competition. Therefore, many people wanted to see the strength of Kang Xinmu and the other two clearly. Chu Qingyun was also in the crowd. Seeing Kang Xinmu enter the arena, Chu Qingyun's face was gloomy. Although he could not use the Great Desolate Demon Vanquishing Sword, it was still a heaven-level dragon weapon. He could exchange it for a lot of experience points. Losing to Kang Xinmu just like that made him extremely unhappy. This was because after he lost the last time, he went back and scolded Zhuo Xiaofeng. Of course, now that the Void Rift had appeared and the Void Beasts were invading, Zhuo Xiaofeng had to guard the front line and had no time to teach him a lesson. He just scolded him and arranged some cultivation resources for him before leaving. These cultivation resources allowed Chu Qingyun to break through to the first tier of the reincarnation realm. However, Zhuo Xiaofeng was very depressed now. If he could not suppress Kang Xinmu in this trial, the cultivation resources provided by Zhuo Xiaofeng would stop here. This was because Zhuo Xiaofeng had really given him a lot of cultivation resources in order to nurture him. These cultivation resources were equivalent to 5 years of consumption for ordinary Yuheng district students. In the end, he used them up in a few months. It was precisely because of this that Chu Qingyun's strength improved so quickly. If Zhuo Xiaofeng stopped providing cultivation resources, the speed of Chu Qingyun's strength improvement would suddenly plummet. He had just started to be called a super genius. If it was suddenly gone, one could imagine how depressed he would be. So, if one had to say who was the most interested in the challenge of Kang Xinmu's group of 3, then that would undoubtedly be Chu Qingyun. If Kang Xinmu's team managed to kill a 5th-level Samsara Tribulation Realm middle-rank Devil Spirit, then they would be able to tie with Chu Qingyun. However, if Kang Xinmu really managed to kill a 6th-level Samsara Tribulation Realm middle-rank Devil Spirit, then the situation would be very bad. Would Zhuo Xiaofeng continue to nurture Chu Qingyun? Impossible. It wasn't just that Chu Qingyun had lost to Kang Xinmu, causing Donghuang Yangwu College and Zhuo Xiaofeng to lose face. The most important thing was that Chu Qingyun didn't have any value in continuing to be groomed. At this time, Chu Qingyun could be said to be nervous to the extreme. He had already used up the number of times he could challenge the monsters, a total of 3 times. No one could break this rule. Now, he had only killed a 5th-level Samsara Tribulation Realm middle-rank devil spirit. He had tried to kill a 6th-level devil spirit and was directly defeated. It was impossible for him to kill a 6th-level devil spirit. A 6th-level devil spirit is so strong. It's impossible for him to lose to that brat, Kang Shinmu. That brat can't improve so quickly. Chu Qingyun clenched his teeth and thought to himself in the crowd. He didn't dare to be too conspicuous now. He had lost face last time, and Zhuo Xiaofeng had already warned him seriously. If he lost face outside again, then it wouldn't just end with him not being able to nurture him. Chu Qingyun didn't dare to imagine the consequences. So now, he didn't dare to show his face at all. He could only hide in the crowd and watch the situation. He pinned all his hopes on Kang Shinmu being unable to kill a 6th-level Samsara Tribulation Realm middle-rank devil spirit. Even many students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy from the Yuheng District and Migres District were thinking the same. Because once Kang Shinmu killed a middle-rank devil spirit, then there might be 3 fewer students who could go to the Migres District in the following school competition. The difference in experience points obtained from killing a 6th-level devil spirit was huge. It could even be a difference of half. How much could those experience points increase the strength of Kang Shinmu and the other 2? It was simply unimaginable. So now, many people in the field were extremely nervous as they watched Kang Shinmu and the other 2 go up. A mid-rank devil spirit at the 5th level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm is here. When Kang Shinmu and the other 2 transformed into dragons, a small void crack suddenly appeared in the training field. Then, a 6,000 feet long 3-eyed demon spirit appeared in everyone's vision. It's actually a 3-eyed demon spirit. This is a noble bloodline among the void demons. It's said that its combat strength is extremely strong at the same level and can even fight beyond its level. The last time Kang Shinmu and the other 2 challenged a 4th-level devil spirit, they defeated an opponent that could fight beyond their level. Now there's another one. This 3-eyed demon spirit is at the 5th level of the Samsara Tribulation Realm and can fight a 6th-level devil spirit. This Kang Shinmu's luck is really not too good. It's said that although the 3-eyed demon spirit is only a demon spirit, it can store the power of a demon general. Once that power is used, it can destroy heaven and earth. It's much stronger than ordinary demon spirits. Outside the field, everyone was talking about it. When Kang Shinmu saw the 3-eyed demon spirit, he was also shocked. Oh my, it's so powerful. Last time, the level for middle-rank devil spirits' combat strength far surpassed void demonic creatures of the same level. After all, that middle-rank devil spirit strength was more concealed. Even the Dragon Emperor mentor who was in charge of these training demonic creatures couldn't tell which one was stronger. But this time, the 3-eyed demon spirit was clearly targeting him. Seeing such a scene, Kang Shinmu narrowed his eyes. Chu Qingyun, who was hidden in the crowd, finally heaved a sigh of relief. Then, a smile appeared on his face as if his plan had succeeded. Even Teacher Dragon Emperor needs experience points. For the sake of my future and to continue being nurtured by Lord Zhuo Xiaofeng, I'm prepared to give all the experience points I can get from this trial to Instructor Dragon Emperor, who is in charge of arranging the demons. This way, Kang Shinmu and the others can't even kill the 5th-level devil spirit. That's already very good. Although Kang Shinmu and the others still had 2 chances, and if they failed this time, there would be a next time. But Chu Qingyun believed that Instructor Dragon Emperor, who was in charge of this matter, wouldn't let him down. Instructor Dragon Emperor also needed experience points. That was for sure, but it couldn't be done in name. Moreover, Instructor Dragon Emperor, who was in charge of the demons, wasn't from Dongwang Yangwu College. Thus, Chu Qingyun planned to exchange the experience points for cultivation resources that the other party needed and then give them to the other party in private. To the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy's instructor, this could be considered as killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only would he obtain the Eastern Emperor Dragon Martial Academy's cultivation resources, but he would also weaken the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy's strength. Chapter 44-21. Kang Xinmu naturally didn't know what Chu Qingyun had done. But when he looked at the three-eyed demon spirit in front of him, he narrowed his eyes. This three-eyed demon spirit had 3 large eyes on its head. The moment it appeared, it glared at Kang Xinmu. The cages used to imprison the void demonic creatures in this training ground were all sealed. The situation in the central training ground wasn't something that the void demonic creatures could see. Thus, the imprisoned void demonic creatures didn't know what happened here. They didn't know what happened to their companions, nor did they know what the various dragon martialists were capable of. The moment the three-eyed demon spirit appeared, it discovered that the dragon martialist in front of it was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. This made it somewhat puzzled. Could it be that these dragon martialists wanted it to fight against 3 weaklings in front of it? To the three-eyed demon spirit, it was a super genius of the void demonic creature race. Now that it was at the 5th level of the Samsara realm, even a 6th level Samsara realm devil martialist wouldn't be its match. It had even fought against a lower-ranked devil general before. A devil general was a powerful existence on the same level as the dragon emperor. If a dragon king could fight against a dragon emperor, it would be unimaginable. Of course, as a devil martialist, the three-eyed demon spirit could only fight against a devil general. It couldn't kill a devil general. In truth, this three-eyed demon spirit's devil race bloodline was close to that of a devil general. The devil chi meridian in its body was already very complete. Once it stepped into the devil general realm, it would be a peak expert of the void demonic creature race. Unfortunately, before it had the chance to break through to the devil general realm, it was captured by the dragon martialists and became a captive. Originally, the three-eyed demon spirit was still wondering why the dragon martialists captured it. Since they didn't want to kill it, they wanted to capture it alive. But now it understood. It seemed that the dragon martialists were treating it as a training target. And the ones it needed to deal with were 3 seemingly weak little dragon martialists. In the eyes of the three-eyed demon spirit, whether it was Kang Xinmu or the 2 girls, the difference in strength between them was too great. Although Dragon King and Mo Ling were at the same level, the difference in cultivation realm was too big. The three-eyed demon spirit was not without intelligence. It guessed that they had no chance of winning against the dragon warrior in this place. After all, the dragon emperor was guarding outside. However, killing 1 or 2 dragon martial artists was worth it. If he wanted to have a chance to kill the dragon warrior, he had to kill him in 1 strike. Furthermore, he had to do it as fast as he could. Otherwise, the other party might call for help. Thus, the three-eyed demon spirit didn't act immediately. It squatted down on the spot cautiously. In the void, the demonic aura was dense and gave off a boundless and terrifying aura. It carefully observed the scene, judging the importance of Kang Xinmu and the other 2. However, it was importance, not strength. From its point of view, both Kang Xinmu and Xiao Yuhua were weak existences. It would be easy for it to kill one of them, but the key was, whose position was more important? The difference in their cultivation realms was too big. The strongest was at the 1st level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm, while the weakest was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Could it be that the 6th level dragon warrior was very important? After all, the 6th level Nirvana Tribulation realm was able to face the three-eyed demon spirit. His strength was definitely not bad. In that case, it seemed that the young dragon warrior was more important. In that case, it would target the black dragon. The three-eyed demon spirit decided on its target and immediately erupted. During this time, Kang Xinmu and the other 2 did not move. They were all on guard against the three-eyed demon spirit's movements. But immediately after, Kang Xinmu's vision blurred, and the three-eyed demon spirit's figure disappeared in front of him. Where did it go? It wants to sneak attack me. Kang Shinmu felt an incomparable killing intent lock onto him from the void. His expression did not change because he was already prepared to receive the three-eyed demon spirit's attack. The three-eyed demon spirit's strength was extremely strong. It was comparable to a 6th-level rebirth tribulation realm middle-rank demon spirit. Its speed suddenly exploded to the extreme. A terrifying demonic aura burst out from the black dragon body that Kang Shinmu had transformed into, enveloping Kang Shinmu in demonic aura. The demonic aura suddenly appeared like a dark cloud and enveloped Kang Shinmu's entire body. Countless ghostly wails and soul howls came from the black demonic aura. It was a sound wave attack that swept towards Kang Shinmu. At the same time, countless corrosive demonic aura directly engulfed Kang Shinmu like a tsunami. The opponent had launched an all-out attack from the start. Kang Shinmu narrowed his eyes. This three-eyed demon spirit was indeed powerful. It knew that it had to unleash its full strength to have a chance of killing Kang Shinmu. Unfortunately, not only could the Great Desolate Devil Sword strengthen Kang Shinmu's attack, but it could also strengthen his defense. Devouring Dragon Mark. The Devouring Dragon Mark was a blood-red devouring power that had merged with the Dragon Scar Blood Pendant's power. This devouring power could devour the opponent's power for one's own use. However, Kang Shinmu did not dare to devour all of the opponent's power. This was because the opponent's power was a little violent. If he devoured all of it, he might not be able to withstand it. The three-eyed demon spirit's attack was no joke. Even though Kang Shinmu had only devoured half of its power, he felt like he was about to lose consciousness. He hurriedly stopped devouring. The remaining power of the opponent's attack completely bombarded Kang Shinmu's black dragon body. However, a blood-red sword light suddenly exploded and appeared outside his divine dragon body, protecting his divine dragon body. That was the Great Desolate Devil Sword. Unfortunately, the Great Desolate Devil Sword had not completely merged with Kang Shinmu. Even if it had, with Kang Shinmu's current cultivation realm, he could not completely block the three-eyed demon spirit's attack with the Great Desolate Devil Sword's power. Almost in an instant, after the Great Desolate Devil Sword had reduced the opponent's power by 30%, the opponent's attack directly landed on Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body. The terrifying corrosive power, even with Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body's resistance, instantly corroded a bloody hole. Instantly, he was seriously injured. I have to finish this quickly. However, if I use the opponent's attack to counterattack now, I will definitely not be able to kill the three-eyed demon spirit. After all, I have only devoured half of its power. I have to lure it to attack me again, then devour half of its power. Only by joining forces can I possibly kill it. Kang Shinmu was extremely calm. Although his body was in unimaginable pain, he did not care. This three-eyed demon spirit, he had to kill it. Otherwise, he would not be able to exchange for a high-grade source dragon martial skill, and he would need more time to earn experience points. Time was extremely precious to him, and he could not waste any of it. Chapter 44-22. It was obvious that the three-eyed demon spirit didn't expect that it wouldn't be able to kill Kang Shinmu in one move. After it unleashed its strongest demonic technique on Kang Shinmu, it immediately turned around to deal with Xiao Yu and Hua Yu so that it could kill as many as it could. But when it turned around, it discovered that the black dragon warrior it had attacked was still alive. What's going on? The three-eyed demon spirit was dumbfounded, but it still reacted quickly. It could sense that although the black dragon martialist wasn't dead, he was in a seriously injured state. It only needed one more attack to finish off the black dragon martialist. Although it wouldn't have time to deal with the other two girls after killing the black dragon, it was still surprising that the black dragon, who was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, was able to withstand its full-force attack. This meant that the black dragon was an extremely important existence among the dragon warriors. Once such an existence grew up, it would be a great threat to the void monster race. If it wasn't eliminated, it was very likely that it would become a great threat to the void monster race in the future. Therefore, When the three-eyed demon spirit saw that Kang Shinmu wasn't dead, it immediately regarded him as its greatest enemy. This kid must be killed. Even if it didn't kill the other two girls, it had to kill Kang Shinmu. Otherwise, there would be endless trouble in the future. Just as the three-eyed demon spirit was thinking about this, its next wave of attack erupted. It was a monstrous demonic aura that turned into a demonic storm that enveloped Kang Shinmu at the fastest speed possible. This was an extremely powerful demonic technique. The terrifying demonic technique of the Void Monster was comparable to a high-grade origin dragon martial technique. When it was unleashed, the demonic aura instantly swept through the entire area and descended upon Kang Shinmu. At this moment, Kang Shinmu had only made the decision to take another attack from the three-eyed demon spirit, but the attack had already arrived. The three-eyed demon spirit's speed was just too fast. It was so fast that Kang Shinmu couldn't react in time. Fortunately, his devouring dragon mark covered his entire body. When the opponent's devil chi storm swept over, Kang Shinmu once again devoured half of the opponent's attack power, and then the other half bombarded Kang Shinmu's body. Even the great wilderness demon rinsing sword did not have time to recover. The power of the great desolate demon sweeping sword had just been shattered. It would take some time for it to gather up again. However, the three-eyed demon spirit did not give Kang Shinmu any time to do so. It immediately launched a storm of attacks. The remaining half of its power condensed into a boundless demonic aura storm and bombarded Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body. Under normal circumstances, Kang Shinmu would have no chance of surviving after suffering two such attacks in a row. If it was any other dragon warrior in the Yuheng district, it would be impossible for them to survive. However, Kang Shinmu was different. This was because, when he took the opponent's attack just now, Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body had already strengthened its resistance to devil chi because of the devouring power. Kang Shinmu had not come into contact with the devil chi power that belonged to the void demons for a while. Therefore, the battle half a month ago did not have any effect on him now. If I had known this earlier, I would have dealt with a fourth heaven intermediate demon spirit first. Kang Shinmu thought to himself. If that was the case, he would not have suffered such a serious injury at all. Of course, it was still okay now. The situation was not so bad that it could not be salvaged. Because of Kang Shinmu's devouring power, his resistance to the devil chi power had suddenly increased to an extremely high level. When the opponent's second attack landed on Kang Shinmu's body, although it was stronger than the first attack, the damage Kang Shinmu suffered was not as serious as the first attack. The Dark Dragon Art of Filth resistance quickly took effect and healed Kang Shinmu's serious injuries. At the same time, when the opponent's second attack landed, his injuries only worsened by 30%. It was not enough to completely kill him. His black dragon body was like a steel fortress that could not be broken no matter what, flying proudly in the center of the battlefield. I've already devoured the power of the two attacks. I'm going to attack now. After devouring half of the opponent's second attack, Kang Shinmu did not think and immediately attacked the three-eyed demon spirit. The three-eyed demon spirit launched its second attack. Before it could discover that Kang Shinmu was still alive, it was faced with an even stronger explosion of devil chi. The wave of devil chi that Kang Shinmu released was the combination of the three-eyed demon spirit's previous two attacks. The vast devil chi sea and the violent devil chi storm intertwined with each other and descended in front of the three-eyed demon spirit at an extremely terrifying speed. The three-eyed demon spirit's reaction was considered very fast, but it did not immediately discover that the devil chi power was used by Kang Shinmu to attack it. It was only a little confused. Didn't it just release this power on its own? Why did it reappear in the battlefield now? However, it quickly sensed that something was wrong. Its reaction speed was not slow, but Kang Shinmu's counterattack this time came from its own attack. Its attack speed was too fast. By the time the three-eyed demon spirit sensed that something was wrong, it was already too late to dodge. The endless devil chi sea and devil chi storm rolled over from the void and completely drowned it in an instant. At the same time. Great desolate devil sword. Ask flowers but don't speak crimson river. Heaven-splitting ice slash. The attacks of Kang Shinmu and the other two also erupted at this moment and descended on the three-eyed demon spirit. The eruption of the three attacks instantly shook away the devil chi in the battlefield. The battlefield that was originally covered by the devil chi suddenly became clear, and the dragon martialists outside could see the situation clearly. This is impossible. When they saw the situation clearly, everyone was dumbfounded, especially Chu Qingyun, who was hiding in the crowd, who screamed involuntarily. No one had expected to see such an outcome in front of them. They had originally thought that given the three-eyed demon spirit's strength, it could completely crush one of them and force the other two to give up. However, it seemed that they had been too naive. The three-eyed demon spirit's three eyes were each struck by the attacks of Kang Shinmu and the other two. Its three eyes instantly exploded. It did not seem to have put up any defenses, and it was blasted apart by the attacks of Kang Shinmu and the other two. Its entire body seemed to have been shattered, and it disintegrated in the training field, turning into a corroded piece of pitch-black debris. The three-eyed demon spirit had been completely destroyed. That terrifying 600-meter-long demon body had actually been completely shattered. This scene completely exceeded the imagination of the dragon martialists outside. This was impossible. Chapter 44-23. The three-eyed demon spirit was a rather powerful bloodline among the void demons. With this bloodline, once it broke through to become a three-eyed demon general, it would be the most difficult opponent among the void demons. Someone had once encountered a three-eyed demon spirit in the training grounds. It was only a second-level rebirth realm lower-rank demon spirit, but it had beaten a Dragon Emperor student from the Fecta region to the point of fleeing like a rat. If he had not forfeited in time, he would have been gravely injured. Of course, students from the Fecta zone would usually send out one person to participate in the challenge, but even so, the disparity in strength was still very obvious. The three-eyed demon spirit was about one level stronger than void demons of the same level. If it was a three-eyed demon general, the difference would be even greater. At this moment, a fifth-level rebirth realm three-eyed demon spirit had actually been killed by Kang Shinmu's trio on the training grounds. How was this possible? Not to mention Chu Qingyun and the other students, even the Dragon Emperor mentors who were spectating the battle were astonished. This situation was truly unexpected. It should be known that Jiang Shenwu, as the leader of the trio, was naturally recognized as the strongest. He was only a sixth-level rebirth realm cultivator. With this level of cultivation, he could actually kill a three-eyed demon spirit that was publicly recognized as a sixth-level rebirth realm cultivator. Unbelievable. He had killed an opponent that was a whole level above him. Most importantly, the demonic chi had spread throughout the training grounds at the beginning. Most of the surrounding students had no idea what had happened. How had the three-eyed demon spirit been killed by Kang Shinmu's trio? The techniques that they had used in the end did not seem to be any different. Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl had both used the same source dragon martial technique, while Kang Shinmu had at most used the great desolate demon sword. What exactly was going on? The three-eyed demon spirit was so strong, how could they have killed it? Even with speed alone, they should not have been able to catch the three-eyed demon spirit. How could they have killed it when they could not even touch it? As for what exactly was going on, only a few experts present were able to see it. Of course, they didn't see it, but they felt it. A powerful dragon warrior's perception of power had reached an extremely acute level. For example, some of the Dragon Emperor instructors, as well as Yu Tianchang, Emperor Qin, Feng Ligei, and other top students of the Dragon Martial Academy, could clearly sense the situation. The three-eyed demon spirit launched two violent attacks at Kang Shinmu. However, these two attacks failed to kill Kang Shinmu. They only inflicted serious injuries on him. After Kang Shinmu was heavily injured, he immediately devoured his opponent's demonic chi to counterattack, catching the three-eyed demon spirit off guard. Unable to react in time, the three-eyed demon spirit was struck by its own two powers. In this situation, the three-eyed demon spirit was heavily injured, but it wasn't dead yet. However, Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in the white dress immediately followed up with their attacks. The two women's attacks didn't seem to be any different from before. In comparison, the young lady in the white dress's sky-shattering ice slash was much more powerful. After all, she had broken through to the first tier of the rebirth tribulation state, and the frost attribute power in her body already possessed the characteristics of the rebirth power. This made her attack power even stronger. It was almost like a transformation. Combined with the power of the great wilderness demon vanquishing sword, Kang Shinmu's attack directly blasted the already heavily injured three-eyed demon spirit into pieces. In reality, the attacks of the three were only embellishments, or rather, a foil. The main power that truly killed the three-eyed demon spirit was the two types of demonic qi that came from its own body. In order to quickly kill Kang Shinmu, the three-eyed demon spirit immediately unleashed its strongest demonic technique. Unfortunately, this strongest demonic technique was devoured by Kang Shinmu and killed the three-eyed demon spirit itself. The three-eyed demon spirit's guess was right. If Kang Shinmu were to develop and mature, he would definitely become a great enemy of the void beasts. However, it was a pity that it had no way of sending this news back to its tribe. After killing the three-eyed demon spirit, Kang Shinmu would definitely rise to become an even stronger existence. Kang Shinmu felt that if he met such an opponent again, it would be impossible for him to even be seriously injured. This was because he planned to cultivate a high-grade source dragon martial technique, next. In the field, Kang Shinmu did not care about how amazed the people outside were. He directly requested to deal with the next one. That was the limit of Yuheng District students, a 6th-level reincarnation tribulation realm middle-rank demon spirit. Any one of them would be comparable to the three-eyed demon spirit just now, or perhaps even stronger. Of course, Kang Shinmu could even kill the three-eyed demon spirit, so it should not be a problem for him to deal with another opponent of similar strength. However, when the crowd looked at the field, it was obvious that Kang Shinmu was now seriously injured. His entire body was drenched in blood, and his flesh was flying everywhere. This was a serious injury caused by the demonic qi's corrosion. Although he was recovering relatively quickly, was it really possible for him to deal with a 6th-level reincarnation tribulation realm middle-rank demon spirit? This is challenging the limit. This is not the first time that we students have challenged the limit. However, it is the first time that students from Yuheng District have done so. Do you guys think that Kang Shinmu can pass? I think it's already set. Even the three-eyed demon spirit is no match for him. Even if a 6th-level reincarnation tribulation realm middle-rank demon spirit comes, so what? That's right. No one can do anything to Kang Shinmu anymore. Many people outside the field were discussing spiritedly. Some students from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, who were originally worried that Kang Shinmu would become too strong and compete with them for their spots, now sighed inwardly and shook their heads. They could not compare to such a genius at all. Even if he snatched their spots in the Migres district infected district, they could only accept it. The current Kang Shinmu could even be said to be able to deal with a 1st-level reincarnation tribulation realm Dragon Emperor. However, in the Dragon Martial continent, the older generation of Dragon Emperors were basically at the 7th-level reincarnation tribulation realm and above. Only some geniuses and elites from Dragon Martial Academy would have a 1st-level reincarnation tribulation realm Dragon Emperor, and there were very few of them. Are you alright? Can you continue? Xiao Yuhua could not help but ask with concern. Although she knew that Kang Shinmu recovered very quickly, she was still a little worried when she saw that Kang Shinmu was covered in fresh blood. She felt that it was a rather ghastly sight. She did not even dare to think of such a battle method. Risking his own injuries to kill his opponent. It was too amazing. Kang Shinmu's endurance was definitely top-notch in the world. If not, he would not have used such a battle method. No problem. Kang Shinmu nodded and answered affirmatively. His injuries looked very serious now, but in fact, they were almost healed. He had already devoured a demon king's demon core. Basically, he was only left with superficial wounds that looked very serious. Chapter 44-24. A somewhat fat 6th-level rebirth tribulation realm demon spirit appeared in front of Kang Shinmu's group of 3. When this fat demon spirit appeared, many people's expressions changed slightly. This fellow looked like the type with extremely thick skin and thick flesh. Chu Qingyun, who was originally extremely depressed after Kang Shinmu killed the 3-eyed demon spirit, was instantly overjoyed when he saw this fat demon spirit. This was because this was a defense-type demon spirit. Kang Shinmu had just killed the 3-eyed demon spirit, which was truly beyond Chu Qingyun's expectations. This made him extremely depressed, but this was already the result that Mentor Dragon Emperor had arranged for Kang Shinmu. If it wasn't for Mentor Dragon Emperor's arrangement for Kang Shinmu's opponent would have been even weaker. This time, Kang Shinmu would be facing a defense-type demon spirit. This was clearly the result of Mentor Dragon Emperor's deliberate arrangement. It had to be said that since Mentor Dragon Emperor and Chu Qingyun had arranged for Kang Shinmu to fight, they definitely had some understanding of Kang Shinmu's fighting style. It was obvious that Kang Shinmu's fighting style was to rely on his extremely strong defense to resist all of his opponent's attacks. As for Kang Shinmu's group of 3's fighting style, they basically needed Kang Shinmu to devour his opponent's power and then counterattack. Otherwise, it was basically impossible for the 3 of them to kill a demon spirit with their own strength. Previously, when they fought against a low-rank demon spirit, it was a defense-type demon spirit. Kang Shinmu's group of 3 seemed to have a hard time winning. But now, Kang Shinmu was going to face a 6th-level rebirth tribulation realm demon spirit, and it was a defense-type demon spirit. In this case, how could Kang Shinmu's group of 3 kill this demon spirit? Even if they gave Kang Shinmu and the other 2 unlimited energy, it would be impossible to break through the defense of this intermediate devil spirit. Among the 3 of them, even if Kang Shinmu obtains the Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword and can use the power of the Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword, it's not a big deal. Don't worry. That white dragon has broken through to the first tier of the reincarnation tribulation realm, but compared to this devil spirit, it's still 5 tiers lower. It's basically impossible for it to break through its defenses. There's also a fire dragon. Its strength hasn't changed, and the dragon martial skill it is using is still the same origin dragon martial skill, so it isn't much of a threat. Even if the 3 of them joined forces, they still wouldn't be able to kill that middle-rank devil spirit. This was the speculation of everyone present. But what was the truth? Many people were looking forward to the results. It was obvious that Kang Shinmu had disappointed everyone too many times. Many people were used to thinking that Kang Shinmu would definitely lead the team to create a miracle. Do it. When he saw the fat devil spirit, Kang Shinmu attacked without any hesitation. He probably felt that someone seemed to be targeting the 3 of them. If the 3 of them hadn't been prepared, it would have been really difficult to kill this devil spirit. After all, the defensive devil spirit of the 6th tier of the reincarnation tribulation realm. Its defensive ability was too strong. To kill it, it was definitely not something that could be done in a short time. Even now, Kang Shinmu didn't plan to kill it quickly. He could only wear it down bit by bit. Fortunately, Xiao Yuhua had now mastered the advanced origin dragon martial skill and cultivated it to the peak. Moreover, Kang Shinmu could continue to deepen the degree of compatibility with the Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword during the battle. Perhaps, I can reach a higher degree of compatibility with the Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword in this battle? Kang Shinmu was looking forward to it. Anyway, the appearance of an attack-type devil spirit was not difficult for Kang Shinmu. As for the defensive-type devil spirit, if it was only at the 6th tier of the reincarnation tribulation realm, Kang Shinmu also had a way to deal with it. At this moment, the fat devil spirit had just appeared, and a burst of devil chi erupted from all over its body. This burst of devil chi spread to the surroundings. This was a devil technique. As the devil chi spread to the surroundings, Kang Xinmu and Xiao Yuhua quickly felt something strange. They felt that when the devil chi approached the divine dragon's body, it seemed to be able to make the divine dragon's body fall into a state of withering and powerlessness. This was actually a dragon martial skill that weakened the opponent. At the same time, the three of them directly attacked. Void Dragon Sky-Piercing Strike. Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword. Kang Xinmu's 6 blood-red dragon breaths directly erupted from the void, broke through the devil chi along the way, and landed on the fat devil spirit. Ask a flower but don't speak, the river turns red. Xiao Yuhua was not in a hurry. She had just cultivated the high-grade origin source dragon martial skill, Phoenix Dance of the 9 Heavens, to the peak of the heaven tier. There was no need to use it so early. This could be used as a trump card at a critical moment. Unless it was necessary, she would not use this move in public. Of course, if there was no other way, she had to use it. No matter what kind of trump card it was, it had to be able to bring benefits to herself. Now that she had killed the 6th-tier devil spirit, she could get more experience points, and her overall strength would become stronger. It was not a big deal to expose her trump card. The red flame that filled the sky swept over, and the fat devil spirit was engulfed in it. This was followed by the white-dressed girl's ice-splitting sky-breaking slash. A cold saber light fell from the sky, and instantly slashed at the fat devil spirit. At this moment, the trio's attacks landed on the fat middle-rank devil soul's body at almost the same time. Immediately, a burst of incomparably dense demon energy sputtered. However, the trio quickly discovered that after the demon energy sputtered, the fat middle-rank devil soul didn't suffer any damage. The thick layer of devil chi on its surface was its protective layer. It was almost unimaginably rich. This time, the three people's joint attack could not even break through 1% of it. So strong. Kang Xinmu could not help but sigh. This 6th-tier devil spirit did have some means. Wasn't its defense too strong? Which immoral person had captured it from the void crack? Using this kind of devil spirit to test the students of Yuheng District. This was really too much. It was impossible for anyone to break its defense. However, Kang Xinmu still had a way. He was not in a hurry because he was different from ordinary students. Not only could he recover his strength, but he could also help Xiao Yuhua and Xiao Yuhua recover their strength. As long as he kept wearing down the opponent's devil chi defense, he would be able to kill this fat devil spirit sooner or later. Xiao Yuhua, there's no need to hide. The intensity of our attack is nothing to it. Before we launch the next attack, its devil chi will be completely restored. Kang Xinmu said quickly. Xiao Yuhua also nodded. Looking at the incomparably thick layer of devil chi dissipating from the fat devil spirit's body, she felt a little depressed. This kind of opponent really could not arouse any interest in her. However, the attacks of the three people just now had caused the devil chi on the surface of the fat devil spirit's body to dissipate slightly, and it quickly recovered. Chapter 44-25. After Kang Xinmu's reminder, Xiao Yuhua immediately made up her mind. Phoenix Dance burns the 9 heavens. Immediately afterward, Xiao Yuhua's crimson divine dragon body blossomed with phoenix-like flames, and an explosive power swept out at this moment. Together with Kang Xinmu and the white-dressed girl's dragon martial technique, they attacked the fat middle-rank demon spirit together. The combined strength of the three of them was already comparable to that of a dragon warrior student from the Fecta zone. When they unleashed their combined strength, the dense devilish chi on the surface of the fat intermediate devil spirit was instantly dispersed. And most importantly, after Xiao Yuhua unleashed the Phoenix Dance burns the 9 heavens dragon martial technique, the fat middle-rank demon spirit was bombarded head-on, and its defense against fire attribute power was greatly weakened. Similar to Kang Xinmu's devouring power, the Phoenix Dance Burns the Nine Heavens dragon martial technique would corrode the opponent's fire attribute resistance when attacking. In other words, Xiao Yuhua's subsequent attacks would become more and more fatal to the fat middle-rank demon spirit. Continue, don't stop. Kang Xinmu shouted, and all the power in his body burst out. The devouring power condensed into a blood-red color and burst out. He could devour the opponent's power for his own use, which of course included the opponent's protective demonic aura. Even for Kang Xinmu, devouring the protective demonic aura was a rather slow thing to do. But combined with Xiao Yuhua's attack, it could definitely speed up the process of getting rid of the fat middle-rank demon spirit. There was also the white-dressed girl's ice-splitting heaven-breaking slash. She had broken through to the reincarnation tribulation realm, and the ice attribute power combined with Xiao Yuhua's Phoenix Dance Burns the Nine Heavens could produce a strange effect, causing the fat middle-rank demon spirit to suffer more damage. In just a short moment, the combined power of the three had destroyed more than 10% of the protective demonic aura around the fat middle-rank demon spirit. Such a situation shocked all the dragon martial artists who were watching the battle. The three of them finally erupted. Kang Xinmu's innate ability is able to directly devour the devil chi protecting the body of that devil. The laughing language flower's Phoenix Dance Burning the Nine Heavens could corrode the opponent's fire resistance, causing the opponent to suffer more and more severe burns. As for the white-dressed girl, she used an ice-type attack to complement the laughing language flower's Phoenix Dance Burning the Nine Heavens, causing the opponent's demonic chi to be immediately burned after enduring the extreme cold, creating a stimulating effect of cracking. All kinds of methods were used at once, causing the fat devil's soul to roar in anger. It could feel that its protective demonic energy was constantly being consumed. If this continued, it was very likely that it would die here. At first, it didn't take Kang Xinmu and the other two seriously. After all, their cultivation bases were too low. But now, this fat middle-rank demon spirit knew that it was facing an extraordinary opponent. After roaring, it finally launched a counterattack. A wave of devil chi surged and spread out from the void. Then, endless devil chi condensed into a long, pitch-black claw that extended out from the void and shrouded Kang Xinmu and the other two. The void claws were about to wrap around the three of them. This was a control-type demonic technique. As long as Kang Xinmu and the other two were restrained, the shattered protective demonic energy of the fat devil's soul could quickly recover. However, when those long void claws appeared, a blood-red devouring power immediately greeted them, enveloping those pitch-black void claws. Devour. Kang Xinmu erupted with a terrifying power. The dragon mark blood pendant reflected a blood-red glow on his black dragon body, devouring all the power of those void claws. Although it was the power of a 6th-level Samsara realm middle-rank demon spirit, it was only a control-type power and not an offensive power. Therefore, Kang Xinmu could completely devour it. Then, counterattack. These void claws appeared out of thin air and swept towards the fat middle-rank devil's soul, binding his pitch-black body tightly. Countless devil claws prevented the fat middle-rank devil's soul from moving at all. Kill. Kang Xinmu was pleasantly surprised to find that the power of the opponent's void claws had a certain corrosive effect. This effect slowly corroded the protective demonic energy on the surface of the fat devil's soul's body. The corrosive effect was not strong, but the most important thing was that the other party's protective demonic energy could not recover on its own. It really is a counterattack talent. Many dragon martialists watched this scene with complicated expressions. This counterattack talent was too powerful. It could actually counterattack the opponent's power. Didn't this mean that Kang Xinmu was invincible no matter who he met? Unfortunately, their guesses were all wrong, as Kang Xinmu and the other two continued to attack and counterattack with the power of the devil's soul. The situation of the devil's soul became worse and worse. The protective demonic energy on the surface of its body was rapidly worn away. Such a situation caused the surrounding dragon warriors to sigh one after another. It seemed that this fat defensive devil's soul couldn't do anything to Kang Xinmu. Wasn't this Kang Xinmu too strong? Jiang Shenwu had actually succeeded in challenging their limits. Furthermore, it was against an opponent that they were the least adept at dealing with. If it had been an attack-type void beast instead, it would probably have been completely destroyed by Jiang Shenwu's counterattack. In comparison, Kang Xinmu really wasn't afraid of attack-type void devils at all. On the contrary, he felt that defensive opponents were more troublesome. Damn it! What the hell is going on? At this moment, seeing that the fat devil soul situation was getting worse and worse, Chu Qingyun, who was hiding in the crowd, was on the verge of breaking down. He knew very well that Kang Xinmu's weakness was that he didn't have a strong offensive ability. But now it seemed that his offensive ability wasn't strong. How could a Yuheng district student have such a terrifying offensive ability? Just based on these offensive methods, Kang Xinmu and the other two were qualified to challenge Yuheng district students. It was even possible that they could all step into Yuheng district. In a short period of time, Kang Xinmu and the other two seemed to have undergone a qualitative change. Of course, what Chu Qingyun didn't know was that Kang Xinmu had always been strong. This time, it was only because he was compatible with the great desolate demon's sword that he erupted with the effect of the devouring power. No matter how much Chu Qingyun couldn't believe it, the truth was placed in front of him. This caused his mentality to break down. Originally, he had secretly arranged for Kang Xinmu to fail in his challenge. Then, it wouldn't be considered a huge loss of face for him. In the future, Zhou Xiaofeng would continue to nurture him, but now... Chapter 44-26. Chu Qingyun was in despair. After this incident, Zhou Xiaofeng would no longer continue to nurture him. He would have to give all the experience points he obtained from this trial to mentor Dragon Emperor. He would have nothing left for himself. Although the experience points had not been distributed yet, he could still obtain a lot of experience points as someone who could lead a team to challenge the 5th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm. It was at least equivalent to the amount he could obtain in the next 3 to 5 years. This amount was not considered much. After all, he had Zhou Xiaofeng's support, so he did not need to worry about any cultivation resources. However, without Zhou Xiaofeng's support, it was impossible for Chu Qingyun to obtain so many cultivation resources in a short period of time. Following this, Chu Qingyun's strength would stagnate for a long period of time. He did not even know if Zhou Xiaofeng would make things difficult for him. As for not fulfilling the agreement and giving the experience points to mentor Dragon Emperor, that was purely impossible. Chu Qingyun only lacked some cultivation resources now, but if this matter was known by the outside world, his entire person would be destroyed. Who would allow him to do such a thing? Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy would definitely not compromise, and Zhou Xiaofeng from Donghuang Yangwu College would not protect him either. His fate could be imagined. Therefore, the experience points had to be given to mentor Dragon Emperor. Chu Qingyun had no other choice. At this moment, Chu Qingyun looked at the battlefield with a dull expression. He watched as the fat middle-rank devil spirit's protective demonic aura became fainter and weaker under the joint attack of Kang Xinmu and the other two. He was looking forward to the fat middle-rank devil spirit exploding once and directly killing Kang Xinmu, but this was undoubtedly just his extravagant hope. Not long after, the situation on the battlefield was settled. The fat middle-rank devil spirit was already at a disadvantage, not to mention that its demonic technique had been counterattacked by Kang Xinmu. It was unable to mobilize all its demonic aura and even caused its protective demonic aura to lose its natural recovery speed. In this way, the disadvantage was even more severe. The fat middle-rank devil spirit was in despair. It was not trained to fight alone. In the end, it was caught and brought to this place. Other than being able to passively resist, it really had no other ability. After about an hour, the protective demonic aura on the surface of the fat middle-rank devil spirit was finally completely destroyed. In the next instant, a torrential barrage of attacks rained down on his demonic body. Although his demonic body wasn't weak, under the barrage of attacks from Jiang Shenwu and the other two, it continued to explode and shatter, dying not long after. As the fat middle-rank devil spirit was killed by Kang Shinmu and the other two, a round of applause erupted outside the battlefield. At this moment, the students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy were all congratulating Jiang Shenwu at this moment. Some of them, who were originally worried that Jiang Shenwu would steal his position, were now full of admiration for Jiang Shenwu. With such talent and battle prowess, Jiang Shenwu was a super genius of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. He should occupy a sufficiently high position. As for the students from the other three academies, their expressions were ugly. After all, this was an honor that belonged to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy actually had a team from the Yuheng district that challenged the limits of strength and succeeded. This was also the only team that managed to obtain the limit reward. As for those in the Migres district and above, there was no one who managed to reach the limit. Even a genius like Wu Machin could not challenge the limit. When Kang Shinmu brought the two girls out, his body was still intact. He was not injured at all. Kang Shinmu's injuries had completely recovered from the battle with the fat middle-ranked devil spirit. Congratulations. The beautiful teacher in the red dress, Dragon Emperor, welcomed them. She gave Kang Shinmu and the other two an appreciative smile. Kang Shinmu, you are indeed amazing. So far, only your team has completed the limit experience. This experience will end in a few days. I believe that you will become even stronger after obtaining those experience points. It's all thanks to teacher's help. Kang Shinmu did not dare to be arrogant in front of his teacher. Although he looked very impressive now, his actual strength was still far from being comparable to a powerhouse. For example, the teacher in the red dress before him could kill him in one move. Therefore, he was still very polite to his teacher. Moreover, Kang Shinmu had a very polite personality to begin with. His thanks made the teacher in the red dress smile even more beautiful. After Kang Shinmu brought the two girls out, he rested at the side. During this period, many students from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy came over to befriend Kang Shinmu, as well as Xiao Yu and Hua Machin. The three of them also responded casually. Someone is going to challenge the limit again. Before long, before Kang Shinmu's matter was finished being discussed, another piece of news spread. The people who appeared in the training field were Liang Xiao and Ran Ran's team of 5 from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy like Kang Shinmu. As expected. When Kang Shinmu saw this scene, he instantly smiled. In fact, Ran Ran had broken through earlier than the three of them. After arriving here with Liang Xiao and the others, she had not gone up to challenge the limit. Kang Shinmu guessed that Ran Ran did not want to steal his limelight. Therefore, she deliberately went up after Kang Shinmu. This last, Kang Shinmu did not know whether to laugh or cry. However, no matter what, now that Ran Ran had also gone up, he had to pay attention to her. Many people in the surroundings had doubts about Ran Ran's strength. However, after Kang Shinmu successfully completed the limit challenge, many people did not dare to look down on Ran Ran. After all, Ran Ran and Kang Shinmu had defected from Donghuang Yangwu College. In terms of talent, she should be about the same level as Kang Shinmu. Many people in the training field were looking forward to it. If Ran Ran successfully challenged the limit again, wouldn't Donghuang Yangwu College be embarrassed? The challenge of the Alcade Zone students was to withstand the attacks of the inferior demon's pawn. The number of attacks they could withstand was the highest score. The limit was to withstand 7 attacks from the inferior demon's pawn. Last time, Ran Ran and the others did not reach the limit, but this time, Kang Shinmu was not worried about whether Ran Ran could complete the limit challenge at all. If Kang Shinmu was 90% sure that he could kill the 6th level Reincarnation Tribulation Realm middle level devil spirit, then Ran Ran was absolutely 100% sure that she could withstand 7 attacks from the inferior demon's pawn. Kang Shinmu was very confident in the chaotic dragon body dragon martial technique. Although it was only a body refining dragon martial technique from the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, if Ran Ran cultivated it to the dragon level, the effect would be completely different. Chapter 44-27. The final result was similar to what Kang Shinmu had imagined. Ran Ran was not afraid of any attacks from the inferior devil soldiers at all. When she broke through one level of cultivation and cultivated her chaotic dragon body to dragon level, it was very difficult for the inferior devil soldiers at the first level of the rebirth tribulation state to hurt her. The most important thing was still the dark dragon filth mastery. Ran Ran's recovery speed in battle was simply too fast. Otherwise, just relying on the dragon-grade chaotic dragon body would not be enough. However, Ran Ran's performance this time caused everyone to be even more shocked and amazed. Kang Shinmu was slightly better. When Kang Shinmu fought, he had the support of Xiao Yuhua and the girl in white. In the final battle, all three of them were equally important. However, on Ran Ran's side, the entire battle was basically Ran Ran's solo performance. Liang Xiao and the three girls only had to watch from the side. Ran Ran could block all the attacks from the inferior devil soldiers alone. No matter how the opponent attacked, she was not afraid. It was obvious that Ran Ran now had defense and recovery abilities that far exceeded the students in the Alcade district. Of course, this was only so eye-catching during the training. The goal of the students in the Alcade district was to survive, so they did not require offensive abilities. The current Ran Ran's offensive ability was still relatively weak. Just relying on the Dark Dragon filth control was not enough for her to challenge the higher-level students. Therefore, although the spectating students were shocked by Ran Ran's strength, they were not too surprised. In a real battle, defense was only one aspect. The most important thing was to kill the enemy. If one could not kill the enemy, everything else was just empty talk. It was obvious that Ran Ran lacked some effective methods to kill the enemy. During the battle, she had also tried to use the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break to deal with the inferior devil soldier, but it did not hurt at all. It was clear that Ran Ran's offensive ability was still slightly weaker. In any case, she only had to resist the attacks from the low-level demon soldiers in this training mission, so it wasn't too big of a problem. In short, there was still a long way to go before the students of the Urakel Zone would truly enter the battlefield of the Void Rift and fight against the Void monsters, so there was no need to rush. 7 days later, the training of the Void Beasts organized by the 4 academies finally came to an end. In the last 3 days of the trial, the strongest students of the 4 academies, including Yu Tianchang, Emperor Qin, and Feng Ligay, showed everyone what true strength was. As students of the Dragon Martial Academy, they naturally had the right to train. If they could earn some experience points, it would be a waste not to take it. As the core members of the Dubhe district, their opponents were high-rank demon generals. Every high-ranking demon general could be said to have their own special abilities, and they had a wide variety of methods. After watching for 3 days, the Dragon Warrior students who had participated in the trial felt that their methods were nothing more than small tricks in front of such existences. Even Kang Shinmu felt the same way. His methods seemed very strong in front of middle-rank demon spirits, but they were nothing in front of these high-ranking demon generals. Even if he had the same cultivation level as these high-ranking demon generals, he might not be able to crush them. This was because every high-ranking demon general had some special abilities, and their battles were extremely exciting. Even if they completely crushed these high-ranking demon generals in a head-on battle, these high-ranking demon generals had special methods that could last for a very long time. In other words, they had extremely strong life-saving abilities. If one wanted to kill them, it would be impossible to do so without some special means. When the trial was announced to be over, all the remaining void monsters in this training ground were wiped out. Originally, these void monsters were imprisoned to be used to train the students of the 4 Dragon Martial Academies. But now that the trial was over, there was no need for them to exist anymore. Almost all the students of the 4 Dragon Martial Academies gathered in this starry sky after the trial was over. Then, a ball of flames appeared in the void, and the cry of a phoenix bloomed in the dark void, blocking the extremely hideous void crack in the distant starry sky. A rather slender inferno divine dragon flew out from the flames. Its body was thousands of feet long, and it spanned across the void. Endless flames burned on its body, making it impossible for people to see its actual body. This is a supreme divine dragon. Everyone present was a little shocked. It was the first time most of them had seen the appearance of a supreme divine dragon, or rather, its body. After all, they could only see the rough outline of an inferno divine dragon. They couldn't see its actual appearance at all. However, the suffocating aura of the supreme divine dragon in front of them made everyone in the field nervous. The blood in their bodies seemed to be boiling along with the aura. Emperor Shi. In the field, the students from the 4 dragon martial academies, as well as all the dragon emperor instructors, all bowed to the supreme divine dragon at this moment. Their voices were extremely respectful. Obviously, these people had seen the existence of the supreme divine dragon before. That's Emperor Shi. Kang Shinmu's expression changed slightly. Looking at the outline of the inferno divine dragon from afar, he only felt that the flames were simply too beautiful. It was an indescribable feeling. Emperor Shi was the divine dragon, the creator of Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Arts Academy, and also Yu Yaji's immediate superior. Its status was equivalent to the Blue Sky Dragon of Calamity of Donghuang Yangwu College. In front of Emperor Shi, people like Zhou Xiaofeng were completely insignificant. It could be seen how distinguished his status and strength were. We don't have much time. Make a long story short. A clear and ethereal female voice came from the void and spread throughout the field. The void demons are invading. We, the dragon martial artists, are responsible for blocking the demons outside. We hereby hold this trial. In this trial, many talented juniors have emerged. I am very pleased. Each of you will be able to obtain the required trial points. I hope that you can grow faster and become the main force in fighting against the void demons. The voice was sonorous and powerful, but it was not loud. It seemed to directly hit the hearts of everyone present, deeply affecting them. Hearing this, a voice suddenly came from the field. It was Kang Shinmu. He asked loudly, Emperor Shi. This time, the void demons appeared from the crack. Could it be that even people as strong as you are unable to seal the crack in the void? You are Kang Shinmu. Emperor Shi seemed to have noticed Kang Shinmu. The eyes of the divine dragon in the flames glanced in Kang Shinmu's direction. Chapter 44-28. That's right. Once a spatial tear is formed, it is irreversible. Emperor Shi's dignified voice resounded through the void and entered everyone's ears. Therefore, in the future, the martial dragon continent will face many hardships. Currently, the void demons are unable to invade the martial dragon continent. However, if you can't rise up, then the void demons will invade the martial dragon continent sooner or later. Everyone understood what Emperor Shi was saying. Once a spatial tear was formed, it was irreversible. It couldn't be sealed, and it couldn't be repaired. Therefore, the void demons would continuously invade the martial dragon continent. However, there was a protective barrier between the spatial tear and the martial dragon continent. That protective barrier was jointly set up by the peerless divine dragons. For a period of time, the void demons wouldn't be able to break through this protective barrier. However, if the students of the Martial Dragon Academy couldn't rise up in the future, then they wouldn't be able to stop the void demons from invading the protective barrier. In that case, there would be a day when the protective barrier would be completely destroyed by the void demons. At that time, it would be a calamity for all living things. Currently, only the students of the Martial Dragon Academy were qualified to know about this. Many of the Dragon Emperor kingdoms in the Martial Dragon continent didn't know about this yet, but it was only a matter of time before they found out. The peerless divine dragons couldn't guard the spatial tear forever. Therefore, when the peerless divine dragons left, the entire Martial Dragon continent would have to face the enemy together. During this process, in order to ensure that the students of the Martial Dragon Academy would be prioritized and receive more cultivation resources, they would be allowed to familiarize themselves with the void demons. As for the Dragon Emperor kingdoms in the Martial Dragon continent, they didn't have enough resources or time to familiarize themselves with the void demons. In the eyes of the peerless divine dragons, those ordinary Dragon Emperor kingdoms were at most cannon fodder. Only the students of the Martial Dragon Academy would have the ability to stand on their own. No matter what, now that the Martial Dragon continent was facing a crisis, it was no wonder that Emperor Shi personally showed up to encourage the students. The experience points had been distributed to the various Martial Dragon Academies. Everyone, please return and use these points to exchange for the cultivation resources you need. The earlier you become stronger, the earlier you rise, the more chances you will have to obtain more cultivation resources, improve faster than others, and become stronger dragon martial artists. After Dragon God Emperor Shi finished speaking, his gaze seemed to linger on Kang Xinmu for a while. Then, with the flames filling the sky, he disappeared into the void. He only left behind a shocking aura that lingered for a long time. No one dared to speak for a long time. Everyone, go back. After a long while, a few of the Dragon Emperor instructors sighed and said a few words to the students of their respective academies. They knew quite a lot about this matter. It seemed like the invasion of the void demons had been foreshadowed, but they didn't expect it to happen so quickly and were caught off guard. As of now, the students of the Dragon Force Academy had yet to rise up, or rather, not enough of them had risen up. Even Yu Tiansheng, Qin Tianzi, and Feng Ligei, who were the top students in the Tianshu district, couldn't survive in the void cracks. They needed a lot of cultivation resources to become stronger. Let's go back first and exchange for the dragon origin martial skill. Kang Xinmu couldn't wait. With the experience points, most of the students would choose to exchange them for heavenly treasures to raise their cultivation and increase the dragon mark energy faster. In the Dragon Force Academy, other than absorbing the dragon mark energy, there were also supreme treasures that contained the dragon mark energy. These supreme treasures were also a type of cultivation resource. However, these cultivation resources weren't of much use in normal times. After all, the price to exchange for them was high and the effects weren't very good. If the experience points obtained from the 7 days of training were used to exchange for cultivation resources, it would only save a dragon martial artist 7 days of time to absorb the dragon mark energy. In other words, it would be a waste of time. It would be better to just stay in the Dragon Force Academy and absorb the dragon mark energy. But now, the experience of the void monsters was different. In just a short month, the majority of the students could obtain experience points that would take years to obtain. Some of the students whose divine dragon blood essence had reached the Dragon King level and were very close to the Dragon Emperor level were likely to exchange for cultivation resources that contained the dragon mark energy. All of a sudden, he had saved several years of hard work. In other words, they could break through to the Dragon Emperor level in an instant and complete the greatest transformation of a dragon martial artist's cultivation. No matter what, Kang Xinmu wouldn't exchange for such cultivation resources. Even if he wasn't the Dragon Emperor, it wouldn't be too difficult for him to deal with the Dragon Emperor. Ordinary Dragon Emperors at the first or second stage of the reincarnation tribulation realm were no longer his match. When he exchanged for a high-grade origin dragon martial skill and succeeded in cultivating it, even a third-stage reincarnation tribulation realm dragon emperor wouldn't be his match. He would be able to face such an existence head-on. As long as that was the case, he would definitely be able to enter the core area in the upcoming Academy tournament and have more dragon mark energy to absorb. In that case, there was no need for him to be in a hurry. The demand for origin dragon martial skills shouldn't be high. After all, although many people have obtained quite a lot, it's still not enough to exchange for a high-grade origin dragon martial skill. As for me, I might be able to exchange for 2 high-grade origin dragon martial skills. After all, I haven't exchanged for an origin dragon martial skill since joining Emperor Shi Academy. The first time I exchange for an origin dragon martial skill, there will be a certain discount. Kang Xinmu thought in his heart. In the following period of time, all the students of Dragon Martial Academy would rapidly improve together. This was a leap for all the students of the 4 great Dragon Martial Academies. Perhaps only one person wouldn't be able to enjoy this leap, and that was Donghuang Yangguo Academy's Chu Qingyun. However, this guy could be considered to have reaped what he had sown. Now, he could only watch as others rapidly improved while he could only give his reward points to the Dragon Emperor of another academy. This made Chu Qingyun so angry that he was about to die. So many experience points, it's simply too awesome. Yeah. For a moment, I don't know how to use them. With so many experience points, it can at least double my strength. If we use these experience points well, it's possible for our strength to increase by 2 times. There's less than half a year left before the next academy tournament. We have to make the best use of our time. After all the students of Dragon Martial Academy returned to their respective academies, they were incomparably busy. The busiest one was the Dragon Emperor of the Experience Points Exchange Office. Because he couldn't handle it alone, he temporarily transferred other Dragon Emperor instructors to help him. Chapter 44-29. Kang Xinmu went to the Source Dragon Martial Technique collection at the Experience Points Exchange Office alone. This was an independent room. Now, there was a Dragon Emperor mentor guarding it. It's quiet here. Kang Xinmu heaved a sigh of relief as soon as he entered. When he first entered the Experience Points Exchange Office, it could be said to be a sea of people. The hall, which was not big to begin with, was filled with Dragon Martial Artist students who came to exchange for cultivation resources. When those Dragon Martial Artist students saw Kang Xinmu coming over, they all came up to greet him. Their enthusiasm was too much for him to handle. It couldn't be helped. During this experience points, Kang Xinmu had been in the limelight too much. Not to mention Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, even if he went to the South Emperor and the desolate North Dragon Martial Academies, there would be many people who admired him. Therefore, Kang Xinmu ran inside as if he was fleeing. Soon, he arrived at the place where he could exchange for the Dragon Martial Technique. It's quiet, but it's also quite boring. When he heard Kang Xinmu's words, he immediately heard a soft voice. He looked in the direction of the voice and saw a beautiful woman dressed in revealing clothes. She was in the room trimming her nails in boredom. At the same time, she looked at Kang Xinmu curiously and said, "You are that Kang Xinmu? I heard that even Emperor Shi personally answered your question." Cough, cough. Kang Xinmu did not think that this was a big deal. He immediately replied, "Hello, mentor. Emperor Shi is very easygoing, right? No matter who asks a question, Emperor Shi will answer them. That's different. If others ask a question, Emperor Shi will just answer them. But you," the beautiful woman laughed softly and said, "Emperor Shi personally called out your name. It can be seen that you are different from others. And now, you are indeed different. Others are not interested in the Dragon Martial Technique, but you want to exchange for the Source Dragon Martial Technique?" "That's right." Kang Xinmu could only nod. Now, things were different from usual. Many Dragon Emperor teachers who were cultivating in seclusion had come out. For example, this beautiful teacher in revealing clothes in front of him. Kang Xinmu did not know who she was. He had never seen her before. In the Dragon Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy, many of the Dragon Emperor instructors were beautiful women. Basically, 9 out of 10 of them were women. This was similar to the ratio of students. "I want to find some high-level body refining Dragon Martial skills." Kang Xinmu asked, "This is my first time exchanging. There should be a discount, right? There are not many people who practice body tempering Dragon Martial techniques. Hence, the amount of experience points required is not much." The beautiful instructor said, "Furthermore, Emperor Shi personally instructed that if you choose to exchange for a Dragon Martial technique this time, you will be given 2 Dragon Martial techniques. You can choose 2 different types." Is there such a thing?" Kang Xinmu was a little surprised. "It's absolutely true. The beautiful instructor giggled and said, "If you choose a body-tempering dragon martial technique, it would be a pity. However, in this case, I can return some experience points to you. You can use them to exchange for cultivation resources." "Thank you, Senior," Kang Shinmu said gratefully. "You're welcome. If you want to thank someone, thank Emperor Shi. There aren't many body-refining dragon martial arts techniques in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, and most of them aren't suitable for you guys to cultivate. However, there's one that seems to be suitable." Following that, Kang Shinmu followed the beautiful instructor to the place where the body-tempering dragon martial technique was located. There were very few people who came to this place. Furthermore, there were not many body-tempering dragon martial techniques. There were only 5 high-grade body-tempering dragon martial techniques in the entire Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, and 4 of them were suitable for girls to cultivate. However, the remaining one made Kang Shinmu fall in love with it at first glance. Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. The name of this body-refining dragon martial technique was extraordinary. Furthermore, looking at the introduction, it was not just a body-tempering dragon martial technique. It could also strengthen the various abilities of dragon martial artists. After mastering the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique, the dragon martial artist could switch between the 3 states of offense, defense, and dexterity. In the offense state, the attacking ability of the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique would be strengthened, and the explosive power would increase greatly. In the defense state, all the power of the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique would be converted to defense. This would strengthen the defense of the dragon martial artist by several times. In addition, the dexterity state used the power of the Tyrant Body Technique to increase the speed of the dragon martial artist. This was the high-level body-refining dragon martial technique that Kang Shinmu needed. Originally, if he specialized in the body-tempering dragon martial technique, he would undoubtedly be lacking in terms of attack. However, after cultivating the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique, as long as he was in the offense state, his explosive power would be greatly enhanced. This was what he needed. Furthermore, the defense state could also increase the strength of his body. This was very suitable for Kang Shinmu. "I'm sure. I'll take this one," Kang Shinmu said with certainty. "Then you better think it through." The beautiful mentor smiled and said, "This Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique is extremely difficult to cultivate. Furthermore, it requires a lot of cultivation resources. After all, it is a high-level body-refining dragon martial technique. This level of body-tempering dragon martial technique is extremely difficult to cultivate. Otherwise, why would such a strong dragon martial technique be unsought?" The last student of Emperor Shi who chose this Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique was said to have become a super divine dragon. That was decades ago. Even that genius student was said to have spent 10 years to cultivate the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique to the heaven tier. You can imagine the difficulty of cultivating it. "Thank you for the reminder, mentor," Kang Shinmu said respectfully. He still took the jade scroll that recorded the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. Without a doubt, the more difficult it was to cultivate a dragon martial technique, the stronger it was. Kang Shinmu was very sure of this. He had saved up so many experience points to exchange for the strongest dragon martial technique. For this, he had already prepared himself for the difficulty of cultivating it. Furthermore, he cultivated the body-tempering dragon martial technique, which gave him an advantage that others could not hope to achieve. Even if it was that genius student who spent 10 years cultivating the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Art, in terms of cultivating body-refining dragon-type martial techniques, his talent was probably not comparable to Jiang Shenwu's. After all, Kang Shinmu had the talent of devouring. With this talent, his recovery speed could reach the peak. As long as he did not die, as long as he still had a breath left, he could recover quickly. Furthermore, his recovery speed was extremely fast, even faster than the peak heaven-tier Dark Dragon Filth Mastery. This was a condition that no one else could compare to. Kang Shinmu believed that he would not need as long as 10 years to cultivate the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body technique to the peak. Furthermore, now that he had a batch of experience points, it was much easier to obtain various cultivation resources than before. I'll choose another body tempering dragon martial technique. Chapter 44:30. The dragon movement technique was also something that Kang Shinmu wanted to cultivate. It could be imagined that now that the crack in the void had appeared and the void beasts had invaded this world, as a student of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, he would most likely participate in the fight against the void beasts. That would definitely not be like this training, where he would be allowed to fight the beasts in a safe place. Instead, he would be brought to the vicinity of the crack in the void to hunt down the void beasts that roamed the void. That was an extremely dangerous operation. Kang Shinmu might encounter the strongest of the void beasts. If that was the case, he would not be a match for the other party at all. Therefore, at this time, the speed of his escape was especially important. As long as he could run fast, he could escape even if he could not defeat the beasts. However, if he did not cultivate the dragon movement technique, he would not be able to escape even if he wanted to. That would be tragic. It was very likely that he would be killed near the crack in the void. For Kang Shinmu, it was useless even if he had the devouring nirvana force. In front of an enemy that was several times stronger than him, his devouring nirvana force would be useless. He could only let the black dragon's consciousness appear at the moment of his death, but that was not what Kang Shinmu wanted. After all, Kang Shinmu still did not understand what the black dragon's consciousness represented. Once the black dragon's consciousness was harmful, the more it appeared, the more danger Kang Shinmu would be in. It was very likely that after the black dragon's consciousness was fully awakened, it would devour Kang Shinmu's consciousness. Kang Shinmu could not come into contact with this kind of danger. Therefore, he tried his best to let the black dragon's consciousness fall into a deep sleep. Even when he broke through his cultivation realm, he would return to the sealing dragon abyss. That was why the black dragon's consciousness did not appear. Otherwise, every time he broke through, the black dragon's consciousness would appear and devour the nirvana beast. That situation would be very bad for Kang Shinmu. The dragon movement technique. There are many options for me to choose from. The beautiful instructor smiled and led Kang Shinmu to another place where the origin dragon martial skill was stored. There was a total of 14 high-grade origin dragon martial techniques, much more than the body tempering dragon martial techniques. Every movement dragon martial technique had its own specialties. Unfortunately, among these movement dragon martial techniques, 7 of them were specially prepared for women. Kang Shinmu was unable to cultivate them. He could only choose from the other 7 dragon movement techniques. He deliberated for around 2 hours before finally deciding that the movement dragon martial skill he chose would be called the Blade Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash. Sun Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash was a high-grade dragon martial skill. After practicing this dragon martial skill, it would allow a dragon martial artist to gain the ability to perceive the void. And after successfully practicing this dragon martial skill, one could use this ability to perceive the void to leap in the void. In other words, he could teleport directly in the void. This kind of movement technique that was similar to a dragon's martial technique was extremely difficult to cultivate. It was especially so if one wanted to learn it. It was not that easy. However, Jiang Shenwu believed that his talent was not too bad. What others could learn, he could definitely learn too. It was not to the extent that he could not even get started. And if the Blade's Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash was cultivated to the dragon level, or even the heaven level, he could completely survive in the void and disappear from the real world for a period of time. This was an even more heaven-defying method. It was conceivable that Kang Shinmu could rely on this method to sneak into the void. At that time, if he wanted to escape, he could directly sneak into the void. No one would be able to find him, unless it was in existence who also cultivated a similar method to perceive the void. Moreover, his cultivation realm must be much higher than Kang Shinmu's. Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique, blade shadow flowing cloud flash. 2 high-grade origin source dragon martial skills. Since you have chosen them, take them and cultivate first. After saying this, the beautiful mentor suddenly said, "Oh right, you have to exchange for 3 special treasures to cultivate the divine dragon tyrant body technique. Those treasures are not cheap. Work hard. If you do not have enough experience points, I'm afraid you will not be able to improve your divine dragon tyrant body technique. Of course, the experience points returned to you now are enough for you to cultivate the divine dragon tyrant body technique to the entry level and reach the mortal level. The experience points you will need from now on will be even more. It is no less than you need to exchange for another high-grade origin source dragon martial skill." "Thank you for the reminder, mentor." Kang Shinmu nodded and took the 2 high-grade origin source dragon martial skills. At the same time, he went outside to exchange for the 3 special cultivation resources that the mentor mentioned. He had never seen these 3 special cultivation resources before. They seemed to be from some kind of demonic beast, but he had not even heard of this kind of demonic beast. No matter what, now that Kang Shinmu had exchanged for 2 high-grade origin source dragon martial skills, the next step was to cultivate them and make a leap in his strength. Work hard. Kang Shinmu knew that he was still a long way from becoming a real powerful dragon martial artist. Therefore, he had to put in more effort to catch up with those geniuses, such as Yu Tianchang, Emperor Qin, and Feng Ligay. If Kang Shinmu did not work hard, he might not be able to catch up with them for the rest of his life. But he had the power of devouring nirvana. As long as he did not slack off, it was only a matter of time before he caught up with them. In fact, Kang Shinmu might even reach the super divine dragon level earlier than them. Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. I need these 3 cultivation resources at the beginning of my cultivation. Kang Shinmu looked at the 3 cultivation resources in his hand. These 3 cultivation resources were a piece of scale, a hard horn, and a soft tentacle. They all came from the same species of demonic beast, known as the prehistoric tyrant body beast. Kang Shinmu had never heard of this prehistoric tyrant body beast, so it was probably not a species from the dragon martial continent. It was very likely that this prehistoric tyrant body beast came from outside the dragon martial continent, so the divine dragon tyrant body technique was created because of this prehistoric tyrant body beast. There were no such cultivation resources in the dragon martial continent. Only the higher-ups of the Dragon Martial Academy, or even someone like Yuyaji, the dean, could get resources from other places and provide them to the students who cultivated the divine dragon tyrant body technique. No matter where they come from, I just need to cultivate them first. Kang Shinmu prepared the 3 cultivation resources and placed the scale, hard horn, and tentacle in one place. Then, he covered them with his devouring power and prepared to slowly devour all the energy within. At the same time, he sank his divine sense into the jade scroll that recorded the divine dragon tyrant body technique, to check the key points and techniques that he needed to remember to cultivate the divine dragon tyrant body technique. The cultivation of high-grade source dragon martial techniques mainly relied on comprehension at the beginning, so it was naturally rather boring. While the other Dragon Martial Academy students were starting to break through their cultivation levels and raise the grade of the divine dragon blood essence, Kang Shinmu began the long process of cultivating the dragon martial techniques. Chapter 44-31. 5 months later. Kang Shinmu returned from the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty and returned to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. To him, these 5 months had been a period of great change. He first used 3 months to cultivate the divine dragon tyrant body technique, and then used 2 months to cultivate the sunset shadow flowing flash. It took him nearly half a year to cultivate the 2 advanced source dragon martial techniques to the human level. However, even if he only cultivated the 2 dragon martial techniques to the human level, it still made his combat power soar. First of all, the strength of his divine dragon body was directly doubled. The successful cultivation of the divine dragon tyrant body technique allowed his divine dragon body's defense to reach a new height. His dragon scales were already attached with the power of the tyrant body, allowing him to resist the opponent's attack with the power of the tyrant body. At the same time, he could already switch between the three postures, which were the power attack posture, the defense posture, and the nimble posture. Although it was only the human-level divine dragon tyrant body technique, the benefits of switching between the three postures were not too high. It was already enough to more than double his explosive power, defense, and speed. Every move of the advanced source dragon martial technique was condensed from the efforts and wisdom of countless senior dragon martial artists. For example, the phoenix dance burning the 9 heavens cultivated by Xiao Yuhua could weaken the opponent's fire resistance, which could show extremely terrifying effects in a protracted battle. To be honest, Xiao Yuhua's phoenix dance burning the 9 heavens contributed greatly to Kang Xinmu and the other two being able to kill the fat 6th-tier intermediate devil spirit. And now, Kang Xinmu had successfully cultivated the divine dragon tyrant body technique. Although he was only at the human level, it also more than doubled his combat power. At the same time, the success of cultivating the sunset shadow flowing flash also allowed him to see the door of the void. He could feel the power of the void and shuttle through the void in a short period of time. Now, Kang Xinmu could stay in the void for a breath's time at most, and he could shuttle a distance of 10,000 feet in one go, which was almost the length of the divine dragon body of 10 Dragon Emperor powerhouses. This distance was enough to escape the attack range of the opponents he would encounter at this stage. However, this was far from enough, because if he were to deal with the void monsters near the void rift, he might encounter existences that far surpassed him. If he wanted to escape, then he would have to cultivate the blade's shadow flowing sunset flash to a higher level. Of course, there was no rush. Although it was only a matter of time before they encountered the demonic creatures in the void crack, it was still too early for the students of the Yuheng district. Over the past 5 months, some news had spread from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. In this year's Academy tournament, there would indeed be some changes to the student zones, and, it wasn't as the rumors said, where the number of students in each zone would be doubled. Instead, it had become 3 times its original size. Originally, there were 3 students in the Heaven Pivot area, but now there were 9. Originally, there were 7 students in the Tianxian section, but now there are 21 students. The Fecta zone and the Migres zone, which used to have 9 and 15 people respectively, had now become 27 and 45 people respectively. Including Yuheng District and Kaiyang District, the quota would be reduced from 15 to 45. In this way, if the first 6 zones were added together, there would be close to 200 people. This had already exceeded the number of students in the entire Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Therefore, if this was really the case, then all the students in the Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy would be able to leave the Alcade zone. How much Dragon Mark energy has been sent over? Kang Xinmu was a little emotional. The reason for the zones was that the Dragon Mark energy was too little. However, such a change was definitely because the Supreme Divine Dragon had brought more Dragon Mark energy, so that all the students could enjoy more Dragon Mark energy. In addition, it was said that the 4 great Dragon Martial Arts Academies were about to be open to the public. The requirements to join the Dragon Martial Arts Academy had been lowered, but the age requirement was still the same as before. As long as one was over 30 years old, they would not be able to join the Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Although Kang Xinmu had been cultivating the Dragon Martial Arts technique in seclusion, he had also heard about these rumors. Because of this, Kang Xinmu began to consider how far he could go. It turned out that he was confident that he could join the Migres zone and become a student there. Then his battle prowess would at least be in the top 34 in the Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Now, the Dubhe zone and Tianxian zone had exactly 30 spots. If I work hard, I might be able to join the Tianxian zone directly. But I heard that the students in the Dubhe and Tianxian zones have to leave the Dragon Martial Continent and head to the Void Camp to fight against the Void monsters. The current me is still not suitable to face the Void monsters head-on. So, I should stabilize the Dubhe zone first. When I reach the Dubhe zone, the speed at which I devour the Dragon Mark energy will be at least twice as fast as the current Yuheng zone. Then, I will charge towards the Dragon Emperor. This was Kang Shinmu's plan. Compared to the others, Kang Shinmu had a very clear goal. He would wait until he became stronger before taking the risk. Before reaching the Tianxian zone, he could still go to the Beast Abyss to earn a huge amount of experience points. Now that the students in the Dubhe zone and Tianxian zone had been forcefully sent to the Void Camp, there were fewer students in the Beast Abyss. If Kang Shinmu were to enter, he would definitely be the strongest. Originally, students like Wu Machan were considered strong in the Beast Abyss. But now, Wu Machan can definitely step into the Tianxian zone and even the Dubhe zone. So, the strongest in the Beast Abyss are the students in the Dubhe zone. When I reach the level of the Dragon Emperor, I can easily dominate the entire Beast Abyss. At that time, it would be easy for Kang Shinmu to earn experience points. The void monsters from the Void Crack could be said to be an unforeseen event in the Dragon Martial continent. But from this unforeseen event, Kang Shinmu could also find the most suitable path for his own development. After spending 5 months to successfully cultivate the 2 dragon martial techniques, he returned to the Dragon Emperor Empire. Of course, he went through the demonic beast formation in the Boundary Forest. Although it was a little roundabout, it saved Kang Shinmu a lot of time. He couldn't ask Dean Yuyaji for help every time he went back. This time, he successfully broke through to the 7th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm and condensed the Nirvana power again. His current combat strength could be said to have increased by at least 2 or 3 times compared to when he was training in the Void. If he had the same experience as before, he would dare to challenge the 7th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm Superior Devil Spirit. It was a pity that there was only one experience. It was for the sake of students like them to improve quickly. However, the Dubhe zone is not considered too weak. It's not that easy to step into the Tianxian zone. I have improved a lot this time, and so have the others. It's not that easy to enter the top 30 of the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy. After all, I haven't even reached the level of the Dragon Emperor. Kang Shinmu didn't think too much about it. Chapter 44-32. After returning to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, Kang Shinmu realized that there were many new faces in the academy. The atmosphere in the entire Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy was much more lively than before. New students are here? Kang Shinmu was a little puzzled. He saw some young sacred dragon martial artists flying around. Some were alone, and some were in groups. They were curious about everything around them. These are the new students who just arrived yesterday. There are a total of 100 of them. They are good seedlings that the 3 Dragon Emperor mentors found in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy a few months ago. A young man in golden armor suddenly appeared beside Kang Shinmu. He smiled and said, "Brother Jiang, although these people are talented, they are still lacking compared to the original students. Aren't we able to enter the core area? Look, the new students can only stay in the Alcade district for now. I heard that we'll have 100 new students every year in the future. If this goes on, the number of students in the Dragon Martial Academy will increase by several times in a few years." The young man in golden armor was Liang Xiao. This kid's strength had increased rapidly recently. The key was his cultivation level. He broke through 3 tiers in one go and reached the 9th tier of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Even in the previous districts, he could have reached the level of the Yuheng district. Now, he was even more powerful. Of course, after the students had gone through the demonic beast training, each of them had improved a lot. Some geniuses were able to travel between the 2 zones, like Jiang Shenwu. This time, he could definitely enter the Fekta zone directly from the Yuheng zone, bypassing the Migres zone. Liang Xiao could cross from the Alcade district to the Yuheng district, skipping the Kaiyang district. There were also people like Ran who could directly break through from the Alcade district to the Migres district. She was only 1 district lower than Kang Shinmu. This 1 district was a difference of 30 ranks. To put it simply, the current Ran Ran and the previous Kang Shinmu were not far apart in terms of battle prowess. The current Ran Ran had not only reached the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, but she had also cultivated the chaotic dragon body to the heaven tier. Apart from that, she had also exchanged for an attack-type high-grade origin source dragon martial skill. Although she had not successfully cultivated it yet, just by relying on her heaven-level chaotic dragon body, she was able to enter the ranks of the Migres area. After observing for a while, Kang Shinmu realized that the new students of the Dragon Martial Academy basically all had Holy Dragon Legacy blood essence. Logically speaking, a 20-year-old Sheng Long was already considered a top-notch genius in the outside world, but in the Dragon Martial Academy, he was only average. They didn't think so. Kang Shinmu even felt that some of them were a little arrogant. I heard that a few secluded dragon martial artist clans have also sent their good seedlings to our Dragon Martial Academy. We need to pay attention to these clans. Suddenly, Liang Xiao looked at a group of dragon martial artists flying in the distance and said in a low voice, "These secluded dragon martial artist clans have quite a good cultivation environment. They even have quite a lot of dragon mark energy. If it wasn't for the Dragon Martial Academy's enrollment expansion, these clans wouldn't have sent their good seedlings. After all, the conditions in their clans aren't any worse than our academies. They might not even have as many resources as before. But it's different now. While the 4 Dragon Martial Academies are expanding, they've also increased their investment in the Dragon Martial Academy. The cultivation resources they provide have increased by at least 5 times. Therefore, these clans can only send their juniors to the Dragon Martial Academy. If they continue to be complacent, their clans will soon be left behind by the entire Dragon Martial Continent's younger generation." When Kang Shinmu heard that, he looked at the group of young dragon martial artists flying in the distance. The group of young dragon martial artists was led by a pair of princes. Behind them were more than 10 sacred dragon geniuses. Only the 2 princes had inherited blood essence at the level of the Dragon King. Moreover, they seemed to be at the pinnacle of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. In Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, this strength was equivalent to the strength of the Yuheng District students. However, they were part of the newly recruited 100 students. The secluded dragon martial artist clans from the Dragon Martial Continent. Kang Shinmu didn't expect there to be such a force in the Dragon Martial Continent. It seemed that the Dragon Martial Continent wasn't as simple as it seemed. There were still some hidden powerful existences. Dragon martial artist clans that had dragon mark energy for their juniors to cultivate were likely to have reached the level of a super divine dragon. Otherwise, it would be impossible for an ordinary dragon emperor to obtain pure dragon mark energy. Now that Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy had more resources, these clans would send their juniors to the academy to cultivate. They had their eyes on the academy's cultivation resources. Us 2 brothers can make a bet. That Lady Ran Ran is indeed a beauty capable of causing the downfall of a city. However, there is no need for us to fight until our heads bleed. The group of dragon martial artists flew over. At the same time, one of the 2 princes said with an indifferent expression, "How about this? Let's follow the rules. Let's see who can step into the Tianxian district first. The one who goes to the void to cultivate will be qualified to be with Lady Ran Ran. What do you think? That's good. However, young Master Gu, don't play any tricks." The other princes looked equally indifferent. "Who doesn't know that you, young Master Gu, like to play tricks? Don't embarrass us and let Lady Ran Ran laugh at us." "Princes, it is said that Lady Ran Ran has a very powerful Kang Shinmu supporting her. Rumor has it that Kang Shinmu is a peerless genius who attracted the attention of Emperor Shi." One of the followers behind them suddenly said. "What Kang Shinmu? It's just that we didn't come to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Otherwise, he wouldn't have anything to do with it." One of the princes laughed. It was obvious that he didn't take Kang Shinmu seriously at all. It seemed that in their eyes, the students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy were nothing at all. It was as if they came from a hidden dragon martial artist family. Now that they came to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, they should be able to dominate the academy. Their words surprised Kang Xinmu. These two princes were very arrogant, and they even dared to have ideas about Ran Ran. These guys don't know how high the sky is. Kang Xinmu didn't say much. He just casually said a few words to Liang Xiao and remembered the faces of the two princes. If there was a chance, it would be good to teach them a lesson. Chapter 44-33. Kang Xinmu did not start a conflict with them on the spot. After all, there was no need for that. The academy tournament was about to begin. It was better to fight during the tournament than in private. After all, there was no benefit to him in private. Instead, it would be a waste of his time. The two young masters brought a group of people with them as they walked past Jiang Xinwu and Liang Xiao. They did not recognize Jiang Xinwu, and only grinned at the two of them, allowing them to clearly feel the disdain they had for the students of the Dragon Martial Academy. They really don't know their place. Liang Xiao looked at their backs as they left and immediately said hatefully, "Wait until the academy tournament. If I don't beat them up, I won't be able to vent my hatred." Brother Jiang, one of the princes, is called Ninth Young Master Gu. He's the son of the clan leader of the Gu clan's hidden dragons. The other one's surname is Liang. He's the son of the clan leader of the Liang clan's hidden dragons. These two people's talent is really average. The cultivation resources of their hidden dragon clan, especially the position of the clan head's son, are definitely no less than the ordinary students of our academy. However, judging from their current cultivation realm, they are not very powerful. I heard that the Hidden Dragon Martial Artist clan has not produced any talented juniors for many years. Kang Xinmu nodded as he listened. If the most talented ones in the Hidden Dragon Martial Artist clan were young Master Liang and Ninth Young Master Gu, then there was no need to worry too much. However, there are still two powerhouses from the Hidden Dragon Martial Artist clan who joined Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. One of them is Ninth Young Master Gu's cousin. She has the blood essence of the divine dragon of the Dragon Emperor level and is in the 7th stage of the rebirth state. The other one is also a woman. I heard that her cultivation realm is similar to second young Lady Gu's. It's very likely that she will make it to the Heavenly Jade Zone or even the Heavenly Center Zone in the Academy tournament. Jiang Xinwu heard it and remembered it in his heart. Second Lady Gu and the other woman were likely to be competitors that he would have to face in the future. He had to keep them in mind. As for Ninth Young Master Gu and Young Master Liang, Kang Xinmu could not be bothered with them. The Dragon King, who was at the peak of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, posed no threat to Kang Xinmu at all. Even if he did not transform into his divine dragon form, Kang Xinmu would not be able to do anything to him. Kang Xinmu returned to his palace and rested for a while. Then, he heard some movements at the entrance of the palace. Is Ran Ran here? His heart skipped a beat. He seemed to have sensed Ran Ran's aura, so he got up and walked out. As he neared the entrance of the palace, he could hear a commotion from afar. However, the commotion wasn't loud, as if they didn't dare to be too loud. Ran Ran's voice was also mixed in, as if she was scolding someone. When Kang Xinmu opened the palace door, he immediately saw Ran Ran, who was wearing a tight black dress and had a graceful figure. She was looking coldly at the people behind her. Ran Ran, is this the Kang Xinmu, big brother Jiang that you were talking about? A young master's voice reached Kang Xinmu's ears directly. This voice had a tinge of arrogance and disdain. It seems that this Kang Xinmu has divine dragon blood at the level of the Dragon King. Is he at the 7th stage of the Nirvana Tribulation realm? I'm not saying this, but I can fight as many of these things as they come. This young master was Ninth Young Master Gu, whom Kang Xinmu had just met. However, young Master Liang was nowhere to be seen. Behind Ninth Young Master Gu were a few new students from outside. They were originally geniuses from the Dragon Emperor's kingdom, but now they were following Ninth Young Master Gu and were willing to be his followers. When Ninth Young Master Gu said this, Ran coldly scolded in a low voice, "Shut up. People like you are not qualified to be mentioned in the same breath as Big Brother Jiang. Go in." Kang Shinmu glanced at the group of people, but he wasn't angry. He said calmly, "They don't have the ability to barge into my palace. Out of sight, out of mind. Everything will be settled during the academy's competition." As soon as he finished speaking, Kang Shinmu led Ran into the palace, and the palace door closed with a bang. In the student palaces of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, every palace was protected by a protective array. No student could break through the array with brute force and barge into the palace. After Kang Shinmu led Ran into the palace and disappeared, Ninth Young Master Gu was so angry that his teeth itched. His handsome face was distorted from anger. In his opinion, Kang Shinmu brought Ran into the palace. What good could they do there? They must be doing something that couldn't be seen. Damn it. Ran is such a beauty. How could she let this trash take advantage of her? Ninth Young Master Gu snorted coldly. He was so angry that his body trembled. He had always felt that Kang Shinmu was trash. After coming to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, he had heard many rumors about Kang Shinmu. For example, when he was training with demonic creatures, he led a team to kill a 6th-stage reincarnation tribulation realm middle-level devil spirit. He was the best among the students of the 4 Dragon Martial Arts Academies. However, he had also seen Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in white. He felt that they were so powerful that even he was no match for them. Therefore, Ninth Young Master Gu naturally felt that Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in white had helped Kang Shinmu during the training. Otherwise, it was impossible for Kang Shinmu to create such a miracle alone. At the same time, Ninth Young Master Gu was very displeased. Both Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in white were top-notch beauties in the world. Their cultivation talents were also top-notch in the world. They were the most suitable candidates for his future wife. However, why did they all have something to do with Kang Shinmu? Ninth Young Master Gu could not understand. He had thought that Kang Shinmu was extremely good-looking. He had just taken a look at him and realized that he was just a so-so. He was not good-looking at all. How did Kang Shinmu gain the favor of so many beauties? Alright, if that's the case, let's see who's more powerful in the college tournament. I want to see how powerful Kang Shinmu is. Ninth Young Master Gu really could not barge into Kang Shinmu's palace. He could only turn around and leave angrily. When he thought that Ran and Kang Shinmu were in the same room, he was so angry that he trembled. He wanted to tear Kang Shinmu into pieces on the spot. It was a pity that he had come to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. He naturally knew the rules of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. He could not be as arrogant and lawless as he was when he was in the hidden Dragon Martial Arts clan. Otherwise, there would be people who could teach him a lesson. He left angrily. The lackeys behind him followed one after another and began to use the most vicious words to belittle Jiang Shenwu and Ran. They called them adulterous couple, whore, animal. All sorts of terms were used, which allowed young Master Gujio to vent his anger. Let's wait and see. The college tournament will start soon. I want to see how strong this guy is. It's best if we make a bet. Let's see if this coward dares to bet with me. Ninth Young Master Gu was so angry that he almost died today. Chapter 44-34. During the 5 months that Kang Shinmu was cultivating in seclusion, Ran was not idle either. It could be said that her current strength was on par with the original Kang Shinmu. The students had gained a lot from this demonic training. In the palace, Kang Shinmu and Ran had a good chat, mainly about the chaotic dragon body. Unfortunately, the two advanced source dragon martial techniques that Kang Shinmu had just cultivated were only at the human level. He could not teach them to Ran Ran. Fortunately, Ran Ran had exchanged for an advanced source dragon martial technique. She had yet to cultivate it. Once she succeeded, her techniques would definitely not be weak. She was not like the Laughing Flower, who had obsessive-compulsive disorder. The Laughing Flower was a dragon martial technique. If one did not cultivate it to the peak of the heaven level, it would not be used in public. It was fine for Ran Ran. Even though she had just cultivated the advanced source dragon martial technique, its power was far beyond the peak of the void dragon sky-raising break. In the palace, Kang Shinmu and Ran Ran sparred a few times. After sparring a few times, Kang Shinmu had a better understanding of Ran Ran's current strength. It was obvious that after she came to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, her improvement did not decrease. Instead, it was greater than when she was at Donghuang Yangwu College. This made Kang Shinmu feel gratified. After all, he was the reason that Ran Ran could only come to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. If it affected her cultivation development, Kang Shinmu would feel bad. After sparring, Ran Ran's strength had skyrocketed. This made Kang Shinmu feel at ease. The competition is in a few days. I should rest well and absorb the energy of the dragon mark. Kang Shinmu was in a relatively relaxed state. The competition was about to begin. It would be difficult for him to make any major improvements in a short time. He should rest well and ensure that he was in good condition. This process was the time for Kang Shinmu to absorb the energy of the dragon mark. He continued to fuse with the dragon mark blood pendant and absorbed the energy of the dragon mark at 10 times the speed. After the competition, the speed of absorbing the dragon mark energy will skyrocket. At least, it will reach the level of the Fekta district. The concentration of the dragon mark energy will be much higher than here. Kang Shinmu was looking forward to that day. Because it meant that he could reach the dragon monarch level of divine dragon blood essence as soon as possible. It was a great transformation from Dragon King to Dragon Emperor. Unfortunately, he needed to absorb too much dragon mark energy during this period. Judging from the current concentration of dragon mark energy around Jiang Shenwu, even if he absorbed it 10 times faster, it would still take him several years to reach Dragon Emperor. However, if he were to reach the Fekta region, it would only take him a few years. Of course, this was on the premise that he did not encounter a bottleneck in the advancement of the divine dragon blood essence. At the Dragon King stage, this kind of bottleneck was already very dangerous. Once a bottleneck appeared, and one could not break through to the Dragon King level, then the distance between the Dragon Emperor and the Dragon King would be further and further. Generally speaking, a bottleneck would gradually appear from the 6th to the 7th level of the Dragon King. This made Kang Shinmu rather concerned. He did not know how talented he was in raising the grade of the mystical dragon blood. He was currently at the 6th level of the Dragon King. If there was a bottleneck, it would be difficult for him. Of course, he could only take it one step at a time. There was no point in talking about this now. Maybe there is no bottleneck at all. Kang Shinmu comforted himself. Anyway, this thing depended on the individual. With the talent he had always shown, it was normal for him to have a bottleneck only after reaching the level of the Dragon Emperor. 5 days later. The Academy tournament of the new Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy was finally about to officially begin. The reason why it was called the new Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy was that at the current stage, Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy suddenly had an additional 100 genius students. It could really be considered a new Dragon Martial Academy. Of course, the 4 major Dragon Martial Academies were like this now. This was to deal with the crisis of the invasion of the Void Beasts. The hidden Dragon Martial Artist clans basically all knew about this matter. As for the genius Dragon Martial Artists selected from the Dragon Emperor's kingdom, they naturally knew about this after arriving at the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy. When they communicated with their respective Dragon Emperor's kingdom, they would also inform them of the situation. From this, it could be seen that the news spread like wildfire. Very soon, this matter would be known to the rest of the Dragon Martial continent. For ordinary people, it didn't matter if they knew or not. It didn't affect them much. Anyway, at the current stage, there were many powerful dragon martial artists guarding the Void Chasm, including the deans of the 4 major dragon martial academies. They were super mystical dragons. If even they could not guard the Void Chasm and allowed the Void Beasts to escape, then there was no existence in the Dragon Martial continent that could stop them. To put it bluntly, they could only wait for death. In the central square of the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy, there was a hubbub of voices. Compared to the previous academy tournaments, this could be said to be the most lively one. In the future, it would get more and more lively every year. After all, if they were to recruit 100 people every year, the overall scale of the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy would get bigger and bigger. At this moment, on the seats around the central square, the students were sitting in 2s and 3s. This was different from the genius trial that Ran had participated in previously. The spectators for this academy tournament were all students from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Even though there were more than 100 people now, overall, the number of spectators was not that many. It was very different from the scene of the tens of thousands of spectators when the genius trial was held in the city below. This was not the first time that Kang Xinmu participated in the academy tournament. Thinking back to when he was in Dongwang Yangwu College, he wanted to break through to the Yuheng district, but he was targeted by Zhou Xiaofeng. Every time, his opponent would secretly become stronger, which made Kang Xinmu feel very uncomfortable. However, this time, he believed that such a situation would not happen. This was the first time that Kang Xinmu participated in the academy tournament after coming to the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy. He participated as a student of the Yuheng district. As usual, the academy tournament would start from the core area. First, the core members of the Tianshu district would be decided. Originally, the Tianshu district only had 3 spots, but now, according to the official rules, the Tianshu district would have 9 spots. The rules of the academy tournament this time were slightly different from the previous ones. The core students of the Tianshu district would first decide on the basic spots, then challenge these 9 spots. Originally, there were 7 people in the Tianxian district, and 3 people in the Tianshu district. Therefore, only 1 student from the Tianxian district could not join the Tianshu district. This had to be decided through a tournament. After the decision was made, only then would other people be allowed to challenge the students from the Tianshu district and change their spots. This process was different from the previous ones. This time, anyone could challenge any student from the Tianshu district. As long as they won, they could join the Tianshu district. Chapter 44-35. The students of the Dubhe district were the goal of everyone in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Those who surpassed the Dubhe district were the mentors of the Dragon Emperor. Therefore, the students of the Dubhe district were the strongest students in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. As long as one was qualified to enter the Dubhe district, he would be considered a top-notch powerhouse in the entire Dragon Martial continent. He could do whatever he wanted in the Dragon Martial continent. Even some of the Dragon Emperor powerhouses from the Dragon Emperor country were no match for the students of the Dubhe district. Of course, the students of the Dubhe district would not be above the 7th level of the Rebirth Realm. They could fight against an ordinary Dragon Emperor who was at the peak of the Rebirth Realm with their own strength. After all, their Dragon Emperor level Divine Dragon Blood Essence had reached the 3rd or even the 4th level. They were much stronger than ordinary Dragon Emperor powerhouses from the Dragon Emperor country. In this battle for the Dubhe district, everyone paid the most attention to Feng Ligay, the strongest powerhouse, and Gu Yusheng, who came from the hidden dragon martial artist family. She was also known as Second Lady Gu. The cultivators from the hidden dragon martial artist clan were the ones who received the most attention. Everyone wanted to know the difference between the hidden dragon martial artists and the original students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Or perhaps they could suppress the original students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Many new students of the Dragon Martial Academy hoped that the hidden dragon martial artists could defeat some of the original students of the Dragon Martial Academy so that they could integrate into Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. They did not really look down on the original students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, but the key was that the original students basically did not think highly of the new students. They had a contemptuous attitude. Therefore, the opposition between the two sides was born. Kang Xinmu did not look down on these students. However, if these students wanted to cause trouble, he would not let them off easily. As for the competition, he would head for the Dubhe district. He would defeat any dragon martial artist who stood in his way, be they old or new students. As for the Dubhe district, he would not consider it for the time being. Once he reached the Dubhe district, he would be forced to go to the battlefield. Kang Xinmu felt that he was not ready yet. There were many places where he was not strong enough to deal with dangerous situations. The key was still to cultivate the blade's shadow flowing sunset flash to a higher level. This was his life-saving method. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if the black dragon's consciousness came out at the critical moment. There was a hubbub of voices in the square. Originally, the 7 students of the Jade District would compete with each other for the 6 spots to enter the Heaven Center District. There were a total of 6 battles. In any case, the weakest would be eliminated. The rules were very simple, and the battles progressed relatively quickly. These were all top-notch experts from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Usually, when they were training and in the Beast Abyss, they knew each other very well. After testing each other a little and seeing that they were not a match for each other, they immediately gave up. However, the further the battle went, the more intense it became. Because no one wanted to be the weakest and be eliminated from the Heaven Center District. Therefore, once they lost 2 rounds in a row, they would start to panic and would erupt with even greater strength. Naturally, the students who went up afterwards would not be willing to lose. Originally, there were 5 females and 2 males in the Heaven Center District of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. When it came to the last round, it turned out to be a battle between 2 men. One of them was the last one to fight, and the other one lost 2 rounds in a row and fell to the last round. This time, whoever loses will have to stay in the Tianxian area. Of course, there was still a chance to challenge the students of the Heaven Center District later. However, if he lost this round, it was basically impossible for him to challenge the students of the Heaven Center District in the future. The 3rd level of the Dragon Emperor, the 5th level of the Rebirth Calamity State. Kang Xinmu looked at the dragon martial artists fighting in the square and could not help but feel a little emotional. These dragon martial artists had been in the Dragon Martial Academy for a long time, but they also had enough talent. Otherwise, it would be impossible for them to reach such a level. One should know that Dragon Emperor Yen was directly stuck at the level of the Dragon Emperor Blood Essence and could not improve. To be able to break through to the 3rd level of the Dragon Emperor Divine Dragon Blood Essence, they were naturally very strong. And these were the weakest students in the Jade District. Of course, now that there were 9 places in the Heaven Center District and 21 places in the Jade District, the current students in the Jade District would definitely be weaker than the previous students in the Jade District. Of course, it was hard to say. After all, the students in the Jade District had obtained a lot of cultivation resources from the demonic beast training. Although the number of places had increased, everyone's strength had also increased a lot. In comparison, the average strength of the students in each district would not be much weaker than before. The fierce competition between the students in the Jade District attracted many people's attention, and they all felt a little emotional. The Dragon Emperor was a truly powerful dragon martial artist. And if they wanted to become a Dragon Emperor, they had to join the core district of the Academy as soon as possible, so that the Dragon Mark energy would be more. I have to join the Fecta district. Kang Xinmu thought to himself. Currently, there was still a gap between his strength and the strength of the Jade District, but it should not be too big of a problem for the Fecta District. After all, the number of places in the Jade District had increased. The overall strength of each district would still be weaker than before. Although there were a lot of points awarded for this training, it was not enough for everyone to reach the level of the next district. The strength of the Fecta district was about the first level of the Dragon Emperor, at most the second level of the Blood Essence, and the third level of the Reincarnation state. Kang Xinmu could still try to fight against an opponent of this level, so the goal of the Fecta district was not impossible for Kang Xinmu to achieve. Dragon roars kept erupting in the field, and the two male students in the Jade district fought in full swing. This not only concerned whether they could join the Heaven Center district, but also a matter of face. Anyway, Kang Xinmu did not know these two people. But looking at the seats in the field, many people kept cheering, and it was obvious that these two people had a high reputation among the students. As long as one stayed in the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Arts Academy for a few years, basically all the students in the Heaven Center district and the Jade district would know each other. Unfortunately, Kang Xinmu had just arrived, so naturally he did not know them. Soon, one of them won, and the other left the field dejectedly. In the midst of the cheers, the competition for the places in the Heaven Center district of the Academy competition ended. Next was the challenge round. Because there were 100 new students, so for the sake of fairness, each student had 3 chances to challenge, so that they could roughly estimate their strength and position. Therefore, at this time, many students were looking forward to this. Now, there must be some strong people planning to challenge the strongest person in the Heaven Center district. You're tuning in to the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.